Yo, what's up? I'm KallaTheYapper, and I'm back with another reaction. So, the most unsurprising video has popped up on my timeline, posted 35 minutes ago by the Nigerian Perspective, and it's his take on the whole Candybbug situation. Yay! I'm gonna say this right now. I already pushed forward to the 7-minute mark of this video. I didn't even watch the beginning. I went straight to the 7-minute mark. And immediately, my disagreement was immaculate. So, we're gonna move forward from. We're not gonna move forward from the 7-minute mark onward, because homeboys. Oh my god, yeah, I'm about to fucking go ham on this video. Oh yeah. We about to watch a very dishonest content creator who frames things in the most poorest way possible, in the most vaguest way possible, and doesn't go in depth to explaining what the fuck he means at all when he makes these videos, and people just eat this shit up with no question. So allow us to break down and dismantle why this video is bad. Because you have people who actually knows what the fuck is going on in the game with these characters, with the story, and so on and so forth, and know that a lot of the takes that fucking Candybbug gave were just blatantly bad, which is why people en masse reacted to this video, because conveniently, this video is coming out around the same time as Naya is about to release. So, of course, people are tired of seeing videos like this, so they were like, you know what, let's watch this video, let's see the takes that she gives, and her takes were fucking horrible. I wonder how the Nigerian Perspective is going to defend all these takes that she gives. So, let's go ahead and get this reaction started, shall we?
For the past couple of days, the Genshin community has been up in arms. There's been arguments after arguments, conversation after conversation about practically every single aspect of Genshin Impact. The characters, the narratives, the cultural representation, the clothing, you name it, people have been arguing about it. And the catalyst for all of this was one YouTube video. A video titled, "Was Genshin Always This Weird and Bad?" And even though it was made by a relatively new creator by the name of Candybbug,
Don't no one give a fuck that she's a new creator.
it has already amassed almost 400,000 views by the time
And on top of that, Saint Tontas, I'm gonna say this right now, all the anti-Hoyo individuals are literally flocking to her channel and just subscribing to her channel just to give her more views and more subscribers, because they think she's the victim in this situation. Just to let y'all know. Granted, she technically is, in the case of like her being sent death threats, which of course the people who reacted to her video don't approve of such actions, obviously. And it's made clear in each and every time someone reacted to this video. And when they knew about this, they mentioned it in like the first beginning of the video or throughout the video. So let's make that clear now.
I'm making this video. That is how highly controversial this video has been. Now here's the thing. The original video is 55 minutes long, which means reacting to it in its entirety would take probably 2 to 3 hours.
Who cares? React to it. Everyone else has done it. Why can't you? I see niggas do 3-hour reactions, 2-hour reactions, an hour-long reaction. It's not difficult. I'm sitting here on my channel doing hour-long reactions to your own fucking video. Are you that lazy that you can't do that shit? Come on now.
And while that could be entertaining in its own right, that is a little too much. Luckily for us though, she uploaded a follow-up video, an apology video, but more.
So you're going to actually react to her follow-up video instead of the video where this entire conversation started from. Okay.
Importantly, to the context of what we're making, it is a video where she already isolates the points from the original video that sparked the most controversy. So in this video, we're going to examine those specific points, analyze what she actually said in the original video, and ask a very important question. Is she really as bad as the Genshin community is making her?
Yes. Her takes are terrible. She's proven to be blatantly racist, or have a very terrible understanding of race or race-related issues, because she only can see it from the American lens. I, as a Negro, pointed this out myself.
Making her out to be. Are the things she said really so outrageous, so objectively wrong that
yes, they were objectively wrong when you can easily disprove it?
They justify every ounce of criticism or the vitriol?
Yes, it deserves every ounce of criticism. Now, the vitriol, that's a whole thing, a different thing entirely, that I wouldn't say is something she deserved, but the criticism, absolutely. Every last content creator who's reacted to this video has gone in depth to explain why her takes are wrong. To sit here and try to even pose the question that everyone's criticism of her video is wrong is fucking retarded as shit. But let's see how the White Knight defends her. Let's see, shall we?
Sure that she's receiving right now, or is there some nuance here? That's what we're going to talk about in this video. Now, before we continue, I think it is important to make one thing very clear. I do not know this creator. I have never spoken to her. This video is simply me involving myself in a discussion that is already happening within the community. So it goes without saying that whatever praise or criticism comes from this video should be directed at me and me alone. So with that being said, if you're into this kind of content, make sure to like the video.
I mean, holy self-glaze.
And let me know your thoughts in the comments below. What side of the discussion do you lean towards? Do you agree more with the points made by the creator? Do you think there is nuance that people are overlooking? Or do you side?
No one's overlooking any type of nuance. Everyone came into discussion being nuanced to begin with. So let's go ahead and make that clear. Even me. I came into the conversation purely just being like, you know what? Let me listen to what she got to say. What take did she give? Being open-minded as fuck. And then the moment she started opening her mouth, I was like, wait a minute, hold up. I'm not even gonna lie to y'all. I may have to reevaluate my points in relation to Natlan as a whole, or at least certain aspects of Natlan. I may have to reevaluate my own critique of it to be like, hold up, you know what? I may have been wrong about it, about XYZ. Because I've seen other creators give a more in-depth critique or counter argument to Candybbug's arguments related to Natlan and the technology in Natlan. So I'm gonna make that clear now. Shoot, I may have to pull one of them up just to prove my point even further. But let's continue.
Side with the community's rebuttals. Do you think the level of anger we're seeing right now is justified? Let me know in the comments below. It
is justified anger when people keep doom posting the fucking game conveniently right before a new version update starts. You don't ever see this with Wuthering Waves. You don't even see this with Star Rail, honestly. You see this with Zenless all the fucking time for over the last fucking year. So people are en masse are tired of this shit because they know why this is being done. This isn't being done because there's some genuine critique to be given. This is because it's easy to build your channel off of, oh, let me tell you why Hoyoverse is bad video. Let that be the first video on my channel, and then I just dip out conveniently, don't make another video after the fact. And if I do make another video after the fact, guess what? I done accumulated so many subs on my channel and watch hours on my channel that now my channel has become, guess what? Monetized.
Subscribe if you're interested on any of my future videos. Alright, let's get into it.
He's still doing the stirring thing. Bro, slow down and talk. You don't need to speed up.
The comments below and don't forget to subscribe if you're interested on any of my future videos. Alright, let's get into it. Now, the first point Candybbug said garnered the most backlash revolved around Linnea, and here's what she had to say in the original video.
Over it. Editing Aurelia here. In the process of making this video, Linnea has been released, and
I'm gonna say this right now. I'm upset with myself that I sat here and did not say anything in response to her take about Linnea and just kept my mouth quiet because I was just that irritated by her take. Because her insinuation was that Linnea is a pedophile. That's the insinuation and the characterization that she gives to Linnea, despite the fact how off base that is. So let's make that clear. I wonder how the Nigerian perspective is going to label this. Is he gonna be like, oh, she was right about it? Let's see.
And I just have to interject to say, what the fuck were they thinking with this character? I feel like a crazy person because I feel like I'm the only one who doesn't think she's adorable and in fact recognizes her for the creepy freak that she is. First of all, she clearly has absolutely no respect for living things that are not traditionally human.
She does have respect for them. She's just extremely curious about these non-human beings and find them fascinating. That's a core part of her character. But Candybbug does not realize that, or rather refuses to acknowledge that. And on top of that, the behavior that's seen from Linnea is behavior that you see from people who are autistic, right? That's one reason why I didn't say anything related to Linnea, related to her being autistic, was purely because I didn't know anything about people who are autistic and, you know, things of that nature, so I kept my mouth shut. But that was a wrong move on my part. I should have opened my mouth and said something, at least in relation to her, Candybbug calling Linnea a pedophile character, essentially. I should have opened my mouth and it was like, nah, we can't let that fly.
Human. She keeps asking to touch and pet.
And let's read this, because I didn't pause and read these. Let's read. Hello, Mezzanine, may I pet you? Be your neighbor. Miss Mezzanine, excuse me, may I pet you? Hello, adorable. Literally, there's nothing sexual about what's being said here at all. Let's keep that in mind. There's nothing being sexually said about the Mezzalines from Linnea. She's not saying anything sexual at all. But Candybbug perceived this as sexual behavior. Sexual deviant behavior when it wasn't. It's not even framed as sexual deviant behavior, by the way.
At the Melusines as if they are not.
This friendly exchange request was politely declined. Next time, try asking more politely. Oh, the Mezzalines are so adorable. Look, she even says she finds the Mezzalines adorable. She doesn't say, I find them sexually appealing. Do we understand the difference of words here? That Candybbug clearly, either deliberately or just couldn't see that was right in front of her. Again, let's see how the Nigerian perspective defends this.
Are not whole people. It's especially creepy because the Melusines are made to look like children.
They are not children. They don't even look like the children NPCs. Just because they're small and short does not mean that they were designed to look like children. That's a retarded take.
Having an adult character who is...
We don't even know the age of Linnea to begin with to even regard her as an adult.
high-key obsessed with them and can't treat them as the people they are was a fucked up move on Hoyo's part. Her trailer is sickening for the same reason. She fantasizes about being rubbed up on by Siegeween, who, again, looks like a child.
But Siegeween isn't a child, though. That's the thing. This whole look like a child thing, we can literally label it for a majority of the female characters, both who have the lolly character model and those who don't have the lolly character model. The ones who are really tall, they're excluded from this. But the ones who are a mid-height range, you could argue that a lot of them look like children too, or teenagers, aka still children, by that same pathology that she's using. Because conveniently, she didn't say Kirara in this. She particularly looked at Siegeween, despite the fact Kirara is here. But she also mentioned Kirara in like the next couple of lines. Listen.
Fantasizes about being rubbed up on by Siegeween, who, again, looks like a child. And Kirara, along with other members.
See how she conveniently mentioned Kirara, who, by the way, quote unquote, by her viewpoint, doesn't look like a child, but she's envisioning being rubbed up on by these cute creatures. Look, they even got Mezzalines, cats, and Kirara, who's a fucking Nekomata. All types of species. She's enjoying the cuteness and the adorableness of them. This is not even portrayed in a sexual way. You have to purposely look at this in a sexual light.
Dream, who, again, looks like...
You can tell, without a shadow of a doubt, Candybbug be engaging in some gooner-ass activity offline for her to be even viewing this in a sexual light. That's the only way you view this in a sexual light, is because you don't consume so much deviant content that your brain is hardwiring to see anything that's even akin to the deviant content you've watched offline to perceive it as sexual. That's the only way you come to this conclusion, by the way.
It's like a child. And Kirara, along with other Melusines and Nekomata. It reads as extremely fetishistic to me, which is a problem.
Fetishistic, but guess what? It's never painted as such in the game. Nor is it even portrayed as such in her character trailer. Again, she purposely is looking at it that way.
Problem when the people that she's fantasizing about look like...
Now, this is a very interesting take on Linnea as a character, and if we indeed looked at the Genshin community side of the discussion, you will quickly realize that this is where a huge portion of the backlash really comes from. And one of the biggest rebuttals people made was that Linnea is autism coded. Now, personally, I don't think whether a character is autism coded or not has much bearing on an argument like this. However, I can still understand why so many...
It does have a bearing on the argument, because her being autism coded is related to her being a fae, and how she behaves is not traditionally human. And then on top of that, the real life lore or folklore inspiration that Linnea is based off, or rather the fae in general is based off of, from what I understand, because Candybbug said it herself, that such folklore and fairy tales were made to explain how artistic children, explain the existence of autistic children who behave differently, who thought differently, and didn't act quote unquote normal. So you're already wrong there. Nigerian perspective. Hold on, let me turn that down. My fucking volume blowing up because my song playing in the background in my headphones. Anyway, let's continue.
Many people in the community took issues with what Candybbug said, but I don't think it is simply because she was wrong. No, rather, I think she approached the character from an incredibly extreme point of view. And even though we could make the arguments that this is just an anime video game, or point out that Linnea isn't a real person with any agency of her own, I think there's a much more compelling reason why people don't interpret Linnea the same way Candybbug does, and that's is context. The context of the character, the setting she is in, the circumstances surrounding her, the kind of story Genshin is trying to tell, the type of entertainment Genshin Impact is. I mean, I think far too many people underestimate just how important context is when analyzing any character. And to show you what I mean, here's a question. What if we took Linnea exactly as she is, every personality trait, every mannerism, every scene from this trailer, especially this one in particular, and transplanted her into the anime Made in Abyss? An anime whose entire identity revolves around the suffering and abuse of children. What emotion do you think that would evoke within you? Because for me, regardless of how innocent or harmless Linnea may appear, regardless of whether she is autism coded or not, my first reaction wouldn't be that she is cute, it would be fear, it would be disgust. And that is exactly expected, more so because the context surrounding that character has fundamentally changed. And if you've watched Made in Abyss, you probably know exactly—
I haven't watched Made in Abyss, so I can't really speak on it.
exactly what I'm talking about. But in Genshin Impact, it is completely different. People don't look at Linnea or any character in Genshin Impact and immediately think fetishistic or abusive, because that is simply not what—
Use the word that we're here talking about, pedophile. Let's use that word because that's what she was implying, pedophile. Let's not use these other words to try to beat around the bush. It's pedophile. That's the word she was implying. Let's just make that clear.
Genshin has ever presented itself as. That's not the tone of the game. That's not the narrative being told. Neither the world around Linnea or the situation she's placed in are designed to make the audience feel disgust or anything like that. They're rather designed to come across as wholesome, cute, endearing. And really, this isn't unique to Genshin Impact. I mean, that would be like saying that Methodi from Frieren is fetishistic and creepy because she likes giving head pats to smaller girls. Or saying Nami from One—
Not even smaller girls, but girls that she sees as cute, because she also sees Fern as cute. So I'll say this, for his response to this point, okay, sure, you got it. Because at first I thought this was going to be absolute defense of this content creator. So I'll let you slide. Let's proceed forward.
or Frieren is fetishistic and creepy because she likes giving head pats to smaller girls. Or saying Nami from One Piece is abusive because she beats Luffy black and blue whenever he says something incredibly stupid. I mean, sure, you could make those arguments, but almost no one would take them seriously because everyone understands the intent behind those scenes.
Exactly. But conveniently, we live in a time of the internet where people love to remove context from things and then paint things a certain type of way. You see it every day on the internet, from politics to the most casual of conversations.
Meant to be cute, they're meant to be funny, and context is what allows the audience to recognize that. The next part that garnered a huge amount of attention and criticism was the discussion surrounding Natlan and Sumeru, with Candybbug specifically saying that she was called racist over some of the things she said about these two regions. Now, before we even get into what she actually said, I think there's something much more frustrating that needs to be addressed. The idea that giving criticism towards certain elements within Natlan or Sumeru somehow gets someone labeled with all these terms.
Oh my God. He does not know and understand the reason why people came to this conclusion. But he's going to be quick to defend her position on it. Okay. So before we get into it, let me go ahead and pull some of this shit up. I'm going to pull up one content creator in particular. Not Candybbug's video. Because I was going to come back to this to tackle on this for the Natlan point that I wanted to tackle on. Because I didn't give a lot of pushback on that Natlan point. Because either I agree with what she was saying or what have you. But let me go. Wait, is this my history? Let's go to videos. Let's scroll down. Because there was one content creator that I came across that really hit the head on the nail with this. Or rather, multiple. For why it is that they referred her as racist. Oh, damn. My video popped up on this timeline too? Shit, no wonder my video got so many fucking views on it. Anywho, love to see it. But where is their video? Okay, so it wasn't okay, so they didn't post a video, it was a live stream. So let me find it. Bro, you're not gonna okay, let's do watched. Holy damn, can I not find the video I'm looking for? Oh, here we go. From this content creator right here. Cosmic Pedal. So let me click on this. I want to use her as an example for why it is people refer to Homegirl as racist and sexist. Because these weren't labels just being thrown around for the sake of it. People labeled her as such. Absolutely. Because it fit. This wasn't one of those moments where people were just throwing labels around for the sake of trying to be politically correct. So let's go ahead and make that clear. So, divine ideas. Attack. First. Okay, this is about right here. But I'm going to play this once we hear this point. So let's go ahead and get to it.
But not the game itself. There's a reason that whenever I've talked about cultural representation in Genshin Impact, I've deliberately narrowed the conversation down to accents. The absolute bare minimum, the least these games can give to bring out some semblance of culture into these regions. Because the moment you...
I'm going to go ahead and say why he's incorrect. No, actually, let's let him talk a little more. I'm going to provide pushback as a Negro myself for why it is he's wrong on his take. But we're going to get into it. Let's watch.
Spend any real time in these regions or do even a little bit of research into the cultures they're inspired by, you'll quickly realize that there are plenty of legitimate criticisms to be made about how they're depicted. I mean, have you ever wondered...
Oh, really? Let's get into it then.
Why Natlan and Sumeru are the only regions in Genshin Impact that mash together so many completely different cultures and traditions into one single nation. Something you don't see in literally any other region. I mean, Mondstadt is primarily German inspired, Lear is Chinese, Inazuma is Japanese, Fontaine is French, Shineznaya is Russian. But when we get into Sumeru and Natlan, the regions inspired by cultures outside Europe and East Asia, the approach suddenly changes. I mean, Sumeru alone pulls inspiration from India, Egypt, Persia, Mesopotamia, Iraq, the Middle East, North America, all within a single...
I don't know about the North America thing, but okay. But here's the thing, though. You want to know why they're probably all mashed together? It's because these places are as close to each other on the fucking map in comparison to Germany, in comparison to France and whatnot. Because those places are spread apart from each other. These places are damn near close to each other. They're neighboring each other, like literally across the line of the border type shit. Granted, for people who are from these places, y'all can correct me if I'm wrong. Actually, I should just search up on the map, but I don't know if I got the time to do that. But anyway, let's let him continue cooking, shall we? Oh.
Nation. And then Natlan brings together inspiration from Mesoamerica, South America, West Africa, East Africa, Oceania, and Polynesia. Again, all within one single nation. And I have to ask the obvious question, why? Why is it that these are the only regions where so many distinct cultures are compressed into one nation? And even more so, why is it that despite drawing inspiration from regions whose population are overwhelmingly darker skinned, the overwhelming majority of playable characters are still fair skinned? I mean, saying the quiet part out loud,
did you bother considering the fact that maybe fair-skinned people are also a part of these cultures as well, and it's not solely people who are black? Did you take that in consideration, or do you think it was only because, oh, they just wanted to have their white characters here? Because by this logic, because it's so convenient that he says this, right? Despite the fact we have a handful of characters who are both from both regions, who are a brown skin or melanated skin tone, by the way. So let's go ahead and kind of like list them off, shall we? Before he even gets into that, right? Let me see. Let's go here. Pull this bitch up. Close that. Close that. All right, this should be better. Genshin. Sumeru. Characters. It's so crazy that I gotta sit here and do this. Conveniently, because he said here and said that the majority of the playable characters from both Natlan and Sumeru are just all white, right? That's basically his take. That's basically the point that he's making. So, oh, I'm on the Hoiver site. I didn't mean to come here. But this shows the fucking Sumeru characters, right? So, let's see. Fair skin, fair skin, fair skin. Brown skinned, more juicy brown skin. Come on, bro. What the fuck is going on? I ain't got time for this nonsense. Let's back this bitch up. Let's just go here. I should just went here to begin with. Anyway. This doesn't show all the playable characters from that line. Okay, here we go. I mean Sumeru. I didn't mean to say that line. But these are just all Sumeru characters. From A to W. So let's list them off of the brown skin and fair skin. So let's look. Let's go with fair skin first. Let's list them off, right? Alhaitham, fair skin. Kale, fair skin. Dori, fair skin. Farazan, fair skin. Layla, fair skin. Nahida, fair skin. Nilu, fair skin. Tartaglia, Tainari, fair skin. So that's about, I'm counting 9 fair skin characters. Wanderer, I guess we can also count him as a Sumerian character because he did come out during Sumeru, and his style of clothing and whatnot fit the Sumeru, aesthetic. So 10 characters from Sumeru who are fair skinned. Now for brown skin, let's count those. We got Candace, Sino, Dia, Sethos. So we have 4 male characters. I said male. My apologies. We have 4 characters who are of Sumeru, who is, of brown skin. Okay, so majority of them are fair skin, minority brown skin. But again, point still stands. In these cultures around the world, fair skin and brown skin is a part. People are from these cultures. It's not predominantly only brown skinned individuals. And then the game is just making up a whole bunch of white people just to replace the brown characters that we could have had. Like, no, that's not what's happening here. Because that's kind of how he's framing it. So hit the back button. Let's do Natlan next. All right, Natlan. Let's read. Let's see. Let's count fair skin first. Then we're gonna count, melanated skin tone. So, Chaska, Sitlali, Kinich, Mavwika, Auroran, and Varissa. So that's 7 fair-skinned characters. And then all the melanated characters we have collectively: Iansan, Ifa, Kachina, Mulani, Shalonin. That's 6. Oh, wait a minute. I may have to recount. Wait a minute. Yeah. Let me recount one more time. Between fair skin and brown skin. Okay. 6 fair skin. Brown skin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there is damn near, for Natlan, we have an even split number of characters of fair skin and melanated skin. It's a damn near even number between both skin tones. Tell me how again did Natlan not have playable characters who have brown skin when they have an even number of playable characters with brown skin and fair skin? Make that make sense to me. Let us proceed.
Same way with regards to her divine ideal, which is war. How does she represent war? Well, she's fighting a war against the abyss, like everybody else in Tibet. Yeah, maybe they have it worse than other nations, but still, what happens when the war ends?
She sat here and asked this question: what happens when the war ends? That means, guess what? The people of Natlan don't have to send their children to die anymore. They don't have to periodically keep sending children out to go fight along with the adults to defend their nation. And now they get to actually live life, not worrying about, oh man, when's the next abyssal attack gonna happen? They can now leave Natlan to explore the world beyond Natlan, which is why we had limited time events that happened after Natlan's Archon Quest, where we saw Kinich and Fontaine, for prime example. Like, this question that she sits here and asks is stupid in context, knowing what happened at the end. Even the pilgrimage battle, to see who gets to earn the right to join the warriors in the Night Warden Wars to defend their nation against abyssal attacks. That is no longer a thing now. Now they can just do competitions of testing their strength without it being, oh, we're doing this so that we can fight off against the abyss to survive. Now it's, we're doing this for the love of the game because we enjoy it. So her take is just terrible.
Which it does at the end of the Archon quest. It's not like Mawika is some battle-crazed maniac. At most, she's just kind of thoughtless and reckless in her actions. Do you see how war doesn't really work as a divine ideal?
And I'm gonna prove why she's wrong with this take here. So let me pull up this Consecrator right here. Let me pull up Cosmic. And she said something when I decided to watch her. So I didn't watch the entire thing. I skimmed around through it. But when it came down to the
Up to date for new mechanics. Yeah.
to the
Weekly
to this
boss
whole
can be-
pause, please. Okay, so when it came to this whole take about like, how war doesn't work as a divine ideal, and why homegirl right here, Candybbug, is wrong, I'm going to play the part why she's wrong in even saying the divine ideal about war doesn't work for Mavwika, or doesn't work in context, or just at all. So let's play this part, because I want to really show y'all this shit. Good 420. All right, let's play this.
War. How does she represent war? Well,
Also a weird ideal. Like, just already. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's one thing for your ideal to be passion, and maybe that leads to fighting or something. But it like, let's be real. Like, just like contracts, I think war is also a weird ideal to uphold as a god.
she's fighting
Like, she's like, well, unless she's the god of war, but that's different.
war against the abyss, like everybody else in Teyvat. Yeah, maybe they have it worse than other nations.
Crazy she says maybe they got it worse than every other nations. No, they've been had it the worst from every other nation. There is no other nation in the world that is literally kept from being able to leave their nation. Otherwise, they will suffer mental and physical damage for not being connected to their nation's ley lines. And on top of that, they've had the abyss be at their doorstep, fucking their shit up for 1,000 years straight. That has not been the case for every other nation in Teyvat.
But still, what happens when the war ends? Which it does.
Oh God, this is directly an opposite. Okay, hang on a moment. Okay. Did she just downplay how big of a deal Notland's ongoing war with the Abyss is? They have to do regular, like, no other nation, like when the Abyss comes a knocking, the other nations respond. But no other nation is on a regular basis sending their children into the Abyss to fight because, like, they have to. You know what I mean? Like, what do you mean? Like, they just have it a little worse. At the very beginning, we see Kachina, a tiny child, right? Like, getting sent into war with the Abyss. Like, but also, she said, what happens when the war ends? We just talked about A. We just talked about how with A, like, her ideal of eternity had to be like adjusted, right? Like, and okay, here's another thing. So one, that's contradictory if she thinks like it's fine for, like, you know, Inazuma to get a free pass on whatever was going on with A, but not, you know, whatever's happening with war here. But sorry, I need to calm down because my words are not making sense, and I can tell. Okay.
AKA, she was on crash out time, basically.
Okay. A's eternity ended, right? And there's no critique about that. She made no critique about that. If she had, I wouldn't be upset about this. B, this was actually already addressed. When the war with the Abyss ended, Mawika still decided that they would continue with competitions in Notland. Just this time, the prize isn't a free ticket into a war zone. And I feel like that is a fair adjustment to maintain the ideal of quote unquote war and battle, right? By continuing to have various nation sponsored competitions. This was already addressed. Mawika is still maintaining that ideal, just in a less murdery way.
Yeah, you can argue, for example, the FIFA World Cup, for crying out loud. You could argue it's like war. Of course, not 1-1. But the idea of you going against your opposition and you're doing everything in your power to take victory, to go home being victorious, how is that any different from war? You're literally going out there to die, to bring home victory for your nation. Even if you didn't want to die and whatnot, or what have you, yes, there's more added to that, right? Than how I'm like phrasing it. But still, in a sense, it's still a battle for who's going to be the victor, just like in sports. It's just to a lesser degree.
At the end of the Archon quest. It's not like Mawika is some battle-crazed maniac. At most, she's
Why should she be? Why should she be?
just kind of thoughtless and reckless in her actions. Do you see how
She's thoughtless and reckless. Yeah, she is. I feel like that is befitting, though, of the pyro element, which is all very passionate people. And that can lead into fights and stuff.
war doesn't really work as a divine ideal, and least of all with Mawika as its
What do you mean? It's not any worse than contracts.
representative. Also, it's a nation of war made up of 6 different factions.
Also, okay. I have so many things. Okay. Okay. So, she said war does not work as a godly ideal, right? Or as a divine concept. And yet, throughout most of history, so many cultures have had a god of war. So many cultures that believe in gods have had or believed in a god of war. I think it's very normal, in terms of, I was saying earlier, I don't think it works perfectly as like a concept just because in terms of an ideal as in like a philosophy or something. But I do think that historically, we do have to consider the various gods of war, right? Throughout history, right? War is the most divine concept. Yeah, like it's a very common concept.
I'm going to prove this even further. Let me do this. What does the Bible say about war? Let's take a look, shall we? The Bible addresses war as a tragic reality of a fallen world, but its overarching message champions peace. Kind of like what happened in Natlan, right? We were fighting against the Abyss. The world of Tevat is a fallen world. No, there's no doubt in that. Systems all across Natlan, not even Natlan, but across Tevat are crumbling and falling. The Abyss is tainting shit left, right, and center. The old world structure is literally crumbling with each passing moment. Like, come on. Anyway, while the Old Testament depicts God sanctioning wars to establish Israel, the New Testament emphasizes non-violence, loving enemies, and resolving conflicts. The scripture presented several key terms regarding war. The mandate for peace. The Bible highly values peace and commands believers to act as peacemakers. Jesus famously declared, "Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called the children of God, loving your enemies rather than returning violence." This is from the New Testament stuff. Okay. Oh, here we go. Old Testament warfare. The Old Testament records God authorizing the Israelites to engage in battles to protect their nation or execute judgment against wicked cultures. The just war tradition, many Christian thinkers drawing from passages like Romans 13 and 4, which states earthly governments have the authority to punish evildoers, have developed the just war theory. This framework outlines conditions which military force is considered a moral necessary to defend the innocent against the extremely evil or the extreme evil. Ultimate restoration. Prophet books look towards a future where violence ends completely. The book of Isaiah envisions a time where nations shall beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. Okay, so you basically got a taste of that. Even in the Bible, it states of war being something that is a necessity to defend one's nation from, guess what, evildoers, to protect the innocent. AKA, you can deem that as God giving humanity a divine ideal, if you will. Anyway, let me play a little bit more of what she got to say.
For gods. So I feel like that is just... like, she can say it doesn't make sense in how it's applied in the game or portrayed, but, like, it's a perfectly fitting divine concept, right? Like... Okay, so, and this is the problem when you take an America-only approach to your criticism.
And yet there's absolutely no conflict between them. It really just doesn't make any sense.
God.
What's crazy is I agreed initially with Candybbug about how the tribes don't have any conflict between each other, right? And I was like, maybe if Mavuika was a human trying to obtain the seat of being the Pyro Archon in Natlan's Archon quest, rather than already being the Archon, maybe she could have had the plot of her bringing the people together, because each and every tribe wants to try out their own method of trying to stop the Abyss. Since, the Pyro Archon that they've had, aka Mavuika, has been gone. Well, the Pyro Archon you'd have to do a lot of rewriting for what what my version of Natlan's story could have gone like. You'd have to do a lot of rewriting from top to bottom initially for my idea or my alternative idea to Natlan's story as a whole. You gotta do a lot of rewriting. So I'm not gonna go too deep into it. But in context to what homegirl Candybbug was saying about complaining about the fact that the tribes aren't fighting each other anymore, doesn't make sense considering the fact that the tribes did fight each other in the past, but they came together to fight and deal with their common enemy, which was the Abyss. They did it they did it when, the Pyro Dragon Sovereign was tainted by the Abyss and attacking and destroying Natlan. Guess what? The people of Natlan came together along with Shibalanke and Ochkan to put it into the Lord of Fire, aka the Pyro Dragon. You would only notice if, guess what, you played any of Natlan's World Quest. Let me play a little bit more of her.
This was also addressed. Okay. So I have a couple issues with this. One, this was already addressed. She's saying that these these separate tribes in Natlan didn't have like any conflicts, like interpersonal conflicts. That's not true. Aoife's entire event story quest was all about how they used to not get along very well at all. But they came together, right? Because they needed to fight against the Abyss, which makes a lot of sense. Various nations will form treaties to fight against a common enemy, right? But also, it was addressed. There was conflict,
Shoot, that even happens in real life.
right? Like, it's not as if it never existed in their history. She says Moika is not a god with the idea of war because she doesn't fight the rest. Yeah, apparently Moika isn't bloodthirsty enough. I don't think you need to be. Like, okay, again, looking at how gods of war, historically speaking, tend to be portrayed, many of them are not actually portrayed as just being bloodthirsty. Many of them are portrayed as being strategic, and good, like, competent generals or leaders, right? I think in that sense, Moika is portrayed as a generally competent leader and general. So I don't Moika is distracting you right now. Bigger threat. Yeah, exactly. They'll help each other and then they can maybe, and that's the thing, is Moika solve that problem in a decent way where she's like, well, I still think it's a good idea for us to have like healthy competition, so we can still have these sports competitions, right? But let's not treat it as like, actually this is kind of brilliant. So it's based off of traditional ball games, right? In Mesoamerica, where like those tribes would use these as a way of doing politics, right? So like having athletes compete against each other in order to decide like who was top dog or whatever, which nation was going to get what, like, was a sensible and healthier way of doing diplomacy than just fighting to the death, right? And I think that that's what Natlan was trying to emulate. That's kind of how Moika runs things. And
Shut up.
I think that's good. I don't think that's bad. Like, I think it makes sense for her character and just in general, because like, it is weird to kind of want the tribal nation to just always be fighting. It's kind of weird. Like, this is maybe the fourth red flag.
Also, since Natlan clearly was trying to emulate that, this just shows that people who had an issue with that aspect of Natlan, shoot, even me, right? Because I even didn't think about this either when I initially made my critique video about Natlan and why I dropped the ball for a lot of people, right? It shows how a lot of us have not, after graduating high school, this shows that a lot of us have not, or whether you graduate high school or college or university or whatever, this just shows that a lot of players have not actually bothered doing any research into these cultures and what they do and what they did in the past to like handle disputes and conflicts and this, that, and the third without the need of bloodshed, which is why the pilgrimage was a thing. Right? It just shows that we forgot shit that we were taught and completely thought, oh, well, it's a nation of war, therefore niggas are gonna be dying. We're gonna be seeing bloody battles, people killing off other people for the sake of glory and this, that, and the third. Despite the fact Natlan never really phrased itself to be that nation. I understand how someone could think that was the case by the fact teaser trailer, where it was like, oh, the winner is victorious while the loser must burn to ash. Right? When you have language like that being said, it comes off as, oh, niggas are gonna die type shit, right? But that wasn't the case. Right? Anyway, I think we've got enough of this clip. I just wanted to use this for here. Anyway, let's get back to his video, shall we?
And least of all with Mawika as its representative. Also, it's a nation of war made up of 6 different factions, and yet there's absolutely no conflict between them. It really just doesn't make any sense. This is why I personally always thought it would be cool if the Pyro Archon was a villain to her people. Maybe she makes them fight each other gladiator style for her own entertainment.
Yeah, let's let the nation that is inspired by a lot of cultures that are from people who were predominantly brown-skinned, right, to be a nation where they are killing each other left, right, and center. What a smart take to have. considering the fact that one, there's already bad enough people look down on those people, think they were just barbarians, as if the rest of the world weren't, having their own barbaric level tactics before they decided to let's become civilized type shit. But like it just, if Nat, I'm gonna say this right now, if Natland were to have done that, people up in arm would call Natland racist for depicting these characters that are based off all these cultures of people of brown skin. They would literally call this nation racist for depicting these brown skin characters in such a way, or any of these characters in such a way. They would have deemed it as racist. Just to let y'all know that.
And then maybe we would have a better rebellion storyline than Inazuma with an Archon.
I think the outrage surrounding Mavrika, at least with respect to this particular point, is extremely performative. Because
performative is crazy. Did you just hear that? He said the critique about this point is performative. Oh Lord. My nigga, what the fuck? Let's get into it.
She is not wrong. I mean, right now, I don't think it is controversial at all to say that Mavrika is possibly the most boring Archon in Genshin Impact. And the reason for this all comes down to one thing that most of us already understand about her. She is too perfect. I mean, she's righteous enough to completely despise war, despite literally being the god of war. She is far.
Wait a minute. That's a problem. This is why homegirl Cosmic said this earlier. What issue is there with having a character who has the title of God of War labeled on them, hating war? Hating the fact that they gotta go out into the battlefield and damn near die every day? That's actually a very interesting spin on a God of War. Rather than the stereotypical, oh, they're just bloodthirsty people that just want to fight for the sake of fighting, for the love of the game. Anyway.
Is farsighted enough to make a plan 500 years in advance and somehow have it play out almost exactly as intended, with little to no course correction along the way. She's an
True, but guess what? We did have playable characters and important characters to the story be like, yo, this plan of yours, are you sure this plan gonna work the way you want? Because this is still extremely dangerous. It's still a lot of faith being put into this plan that this plan is gonna work the way that you want it to.
an exceptional leader. She learns incredibly quickly.
She's an exceptional leader and learns very quickly, which again, like Cosmic said, this is a character trait that has been seen in certain God of War entities in different cultures. Kind of crazy that the Nigerian perspective doesn't realize this. Actually, let's search this up, shall we? Have gods of war or been shown to be intelligent? Yes, gods of war are frequently portrayed as highly intelligent across various forms of media, often subverting the brute force stereotype by showcasing tactical brilliance, cunning manipulation, and deep wisdom. I'm gonna say this, it kind of sucks that I have to sit here and defend Mavrika, because Mavrika as a character, she does come off as too perfect and too Mary Sue-like. I will say that, and that I acknowledge that as a criticism for her character. If they amped up her flaws more, I think her character would have been fine if they did that, or if they amped up the flaw aspect of her character more, right? I don't think many people would have an issue with her feeling like a lot of Mary Sue-esque, but her being a competent leader is not a bad thing. Because arguably, we can argue that some of these other Archons are not competent leaders, or aren't very good leaders. Case in point, Vinci / Barbatos. Are we going to sit here and say that he's the best leader for the nation of freedom? He's not at all, by any stretch of the imagination. Even Jean and Varka, who are in the same position, damn near, as Mavrika, are more competent in comparison to Vinci / Barbatos. Zhongli, he's a competent leader blatantly. I don't think there's any disagreement with that, unless there's some evidence that contradicts this take of mine. But he has been shown to be a very capable leader during the time of the Archon War, even though we didn't see it. Every flashback that we got that showed off the Archon War and whatnot, they always show and depict Zhongli as being someone as a capable leader during this time frame. and how he got all the Adeptus to essentially, serve under him during the time of the Archon War. Inazuma, Raiden Shogun, or in particular, Raiden A, was out here on the battlefield murking niggas down during the Archon War, before the Conrian Cataclysm, by the way. And she was shown to be a competent leader. Ruka Devada, same thing, competent leader. All the way through, even to the point of sacrificing her own life to ensure everything will be fine for the people of Sumeru moving forward and her future version self, right? And guess what, Nahida? Guess what? She evolves into a what? Competent leader. Farina was never a competent leader, so we can make that be clear now. She was never depicted to be a leader either, honestly. But when it comes down to Neuvillette, on the other hand, he has been depicted like a leader a lot. And let's read more of this. Notable intelligent gods of war. Kratos. While initially being driven by rage, Kratos is a master tactician and former youngest general in the Spartan army. Let's read. Athena. Greek mythology. In classic mythology, Athena is the goddess of both wisdom and strategic warfare. Unlike her counterpart Ares, who represents the chaotic violence of war, Athena represents the intelligent, or the intellectual, calculated, and just aspects of conflict. AKA the moral, righteous, the moral side of conflict when it comes down to war. And why it's a necessity, more than likely. Sun Tzu. I'm sorry. Oh yeah, excuse my outburst of this laughter, but the reason why I'm having it is because every time I see someone on a community post of anything, whether it be or any YouTube short or video or what have you on social media, somebody is always quoting Sun Tzu, talking about some bitches be wilding, and they'll hashtag it being like, this was said by Sun Tzu. Some shit. If it's not Sun Tzu, it's someone else with probably a similar name. But this shit has always been funny to me every time I see this guy's name. But anyway, let us read, right, shall we? Okay. Sun Tzu, Chinese mythology / history. Revered as a god of war in Chinese religion, his entire legacy is rooted in intellectual warfare. He authored The Art of War, a foundational text emphasizing the highest form of warfare is winning without fighting through strategy and deception. AK sounds like he was we running it face first. We gonna figure out the plan later. That's kind of how it sounds. But emphasizing the highest form of warfare is winning without fighting through strategy and deception. Okay, we're not doing no sneaky shit. We're just gonna be upfront with our tactics, basically. Let's continue reading, shall we? Odin, Norse mythology / god of war Ragnarok. In Norse lore and the games, Odin acts as a master manipulator. He uses extreme intellect, runes, and espionage to outsmart his enemies and avoid direct conflict, making him a deeply formidable intellectual adversary. Yes, throughout history and mythology, many real-life cultures view their gods of war not just as brutes, but as highly intelligent tacticians, strategists, and sages. So there's even more proof to back this up for why Malvika is a competent leader. It's not just done for the sake of her just trying to make her be even more cooler than every other Archon. Because it's a real thing. Being a quick learner, we've seen this type of behavior from other Archons as well, in particular Nahida.
She adapts to every situation. She always seems to be
We've seen Nahida also adapt to every situation as well, so that's again not something unique to only Mavuika.
the smartest person in the room and rarely feels like she's genuinely out of her depth. And I think what is most disappointing about Mavuika is that I genuinely don't believe this was the character the game originally intended to build. In fact, there's a single line from another Archon that to me perfectly captures what Mavuika was supposed to be.
The Pyro Archon is a wayward, warmongering wretch, and the Geo Archon is a brutish, blundering buffoon. How do I know? Because this is written in the epic poems of days gone by.
Oh my god, are we gonna take the voice line of Venti, who literally just called Zhongli just a brutish, bundling buffoon, when we've seen time and time again of Zhongli not being that? If anything, this comes off as Venti exaggerating the truth when it comes down to these characters. And on top of that, let's just be clear as well. You cannot use the line that Venti says about the Pyro Archon being absolutely true when the Pyro Archon in Natlan has never just been Mavuika. She's the newest Pyro Archon. Did we forget Shibalanke exists? If anything, Venti's line about the Pyro Archon describes fucking what's his name? Shibalanke more so than Mavuika. The Pyro Archon is a wayward, warmongering wretch. Does this not sound like Shibalanke? This nigga Shibalanke was out here fighting all type of war. He fought against the dragons. That nigga was loving it. In particular, he did fight the dragons. I can't remember if he fought against other tribes as well to gather them together so that they can fight against the dragons collectively. I'm pretty sure that's what he did before he fought against the dragons. But nonetheless, that fits the description of, guess what, Shibalanke more so than Mavuika. This why him saying this doesn't make sense. And look how old this voice line is. Bro, the fact that the voice line stops at Ball, which is Raiden Shogun / Raiden A. This voice line was years ago. Without a shadow of a doubt, there is no voice line about Rukkhadevata, Focalor, nor about Homegirl Mavuika. Because if it was, their names would be on here, but it's not. This is an old voice line from about Venti number 3. And he's talking about the Pyro Archon, which more than likely, this Pyro Archon that he's referring to is not Mavuika. Because if I search up, actually, let's search this up. Let me search this up right now. Give me a moment. I need to see this. Genshin Venti voice lines. About Mavuika. Let's see if we can find Mavuika. Search. Oh, version 6.5, 3 months ago. Finally, every Archon voice line about Mavuika, featuring Nahida, A, Venti, Zhongli. So let's look at this, shall we?
When I arrived in Conria 500 years ago, I saw a battlefield of scorched earth on the level of Musojin Gorge, the fury of the Pyro Archon. That was said to be the cause. Now I have the opportunity to meet that human once again. Perhaps you could introduce me? We are both warriors. It would be nice to find a spacious place to engage in a practical exchange.
This world sure is cruel, forcing generation upon generation of human heroes to become cannon fodder in the fight against darkness. But under Mavuika's leadership, they achieved a truly godlike feat. Starting with her, I suppose the Natlanese have always been like that. Ah, right! I heard Mavuika likes to drink. Are you thinking what I'm thinking?
Natlan.
So this voice line alone, this video was posted 3 months ago. This was voice lines for version 6.5. Or rather, I'm pretty sure these voice lines came way before version 6.5. More than likely. Actually, no, they did, because these voice lines came out during version 5. No, but they're saying that these only were just added in. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong about this. I'm pretty sure these voice lines came into the game. There's no way that these voice lines are only now coming into the game 3 months ago. Because Mavuika as a character has been out for so long at this point. There's no way they're only just now adding this shit. But nonetheless, as you can see, the difference in voice line between what Venti says about the Pyro Archon, he doesn't even name Mavuika, by the way. He just says the Pyro Archon. And knowing that in this video he shows, we see Morax and Ball be mentioned here. Let's make that clear. These two are being mentioned by their demon names. Right? Venti should be mentioning the Pyro Archon by her demon name, not in the third line about Venti. Let's do this. Venti voice lines of today. Search. $5 years ago, 2 years ago. $2 years ago. Okay, this is 2 years ago. But this video was posted 2 years ago. 2 years ago, weren't we in fucking...
And on food, the Pyro Archon is a wayward, warmongering wretch, and the Geo Archon is a brutish, blundering buffoon.
Oh, another thing too we need to mention is that Venti is someone who actively lies and withholds information. So, just like when it came down to Child and Wanderer, when it came down to them telling us about Columbina, the same thing applies for Venti as well. Because he misconstrues the truth just as much as any other person. If not to an even further egregious degree, because he is keeping secrets. So him giving us misleading information about the Pyro Archon, especially the current day Pyro Archon, because this voice line could be applied to the first Pyro Archon, not the current one at all. You see what I'm saying? And I'm saying this in context with every piece of information we got moving forward about the Pyro Archon as time went on. And Venti was not our sole piece of information about it. If you really want to believe that what Venti said about the Pyro Archon was absolutely accurate, that means you only want to view him as the sole piece of information, despite the fact there's contradictory information that pushes back against what he says. I can't even tell if this is the current voice line. Actually, who can I pull up right now? I need to see something. Who's in there? Oh, awesome. The homies are in the Discord. Ah, shit. Give me a second while I need to find... Where's my Bluetooth case? I need to turn these Bluetooths off. Sorry that I'm doing this in the middle of this reaction, but your boy gotta get his shit right. Where the fuck is it? Oh, where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Gotta do this case. Ah, shit. Oh, here it is. Found it. Alright, cool. Alright. These fools probably in the middle of a game right now, but I gotta do this. Hello, hello, hello. Can y'all hear me? Can you hear me? Okay. Before y'all say anything, before y'all say anything crazy.
What's funny is
before y'all say anything crazy.
The user HUD that you said, Arya is not on any of user HUD teams with Felina.
Interesting. Huh. Okay, so what you want, Kayla?
Oh, what I was about to say is, I am in the middle of a reaction right now, but I need y'all's input. In particular, For niggas who are deep in the Genshin lore. So I would like for you someone, I don't know if y'all can pull up Genshin just for this quick second, but I need to see Venti, or need to hear Venti's third voice line that's about himself, where he mentions the Power Archon. And if he mentions the Power Archon in the third voice line about himself, and if he mentions her by name in his voice lines. I need to like at least see a picture of that.
Alright, so about the Pyro Archon?
Yeah. The reason I'm saying this is because I'm countering this argument that's being made about that this content creator is making, which is that the Pyro Archon was clearly written to be different than how they initially depicted her, and his argument or his evidence to suggest this is Venti's third voice line about himself, where he mentions the Pyro Archon being a brute or a warmongering wretch, and the Geo Archon being a brutish, murdering buffoon. So I just need
I didn't listen to the damn thing you said.
Don't you need to look that up, bro, Kayla?
Huh?
He doesn't have the characters.
I mean, on YouTube, I mean.
I try to find it on YouTube, but the thing is, they don't show like the list going down for the voice lines. They just play the audio for the voice line. But I need like images.
Well, there you
So
go.
there's the one about Smevwika. So the third Venti, yeah, if anybody said that he called her a brute, then they didn't read it in context. I can tell you that right now, just right as soon as I read it.
Okay, because I knew I wasn't crazy. Because this line about the Power Archon only makes sense that it's referring to Shibalanke rather than Mavuika.
Yeah, it's not, doesn't have the voice, like, you know, usually when I'm being completely sarcastic, I put an emphasis like, oh, you are so smart. Yes, I get it. You're so smart. You're the smartest person in the world. They didn't put that kind of emphasis on the sarcasm. So people who are unable to read context, be it by what their characters are like, or again by personality, it's an inference based on how you know who they are. That's more about Venti 3. Is if you read it and you're just a fucking sociopath who has no understanding of little like innuendos like that, then you're fucking lost and you're just a psychopath just starting shit. So people who take this literally about the Pyro Archon as a wayward warmongering wretch, they're not taking the understanding of what Venti's character is like and how he's kind of like a troll. It's like, oh, it's written that way, so of course they're that way, because that's just his type of humor.
Yeah, we've always known Venti to be the type to either give us misleading info or over exaggerate something.
So he can hide the truth in plain sight before you, yes.
Yeah, so that's the argument I'm basically making.
Yeah, he likes to mix in lies and truths and then half lies, half truths. That way you can't ever really tell what he's actually saying. He does that quite often. So does that help you right there?
Yeah, that helps. I just need that little bit before I continue this reaction, or at least get this done. 'Cause I'm about halfway through the video.
And don't tell me we're going to be voicing through that fucking video.
Or at least this section of it, at least. But it's short. It's not really that long. And plus, people love hearing, your input sometimes when when you're on my live stream sometimes. They love it. Anyway, Oreo, get out the room. Get. Shoot.
Because I'm the one who called you out for being a bitch. And a monkey.
I guess. Anywho,
A pink monkey nonetheless.
I'm going to leave y'all fools to it.
The one that farts and burps all the time.
Anyway, appreciate y'all's input before y'all talk anymore. Not trying to lose my YouTube channel. Alright, I'll talk to y'all later. Peace. Anywho, enough of those cornballs. You see the type of friends I hang out with? Hold up, give me a second. Shoot. I'm busy. Go. Sorry, my dog. I can't believe I gotta do this in the middle of this reaction. Because I can't show y'all the images I'm trying to show unless I can move this stuff around. So please give me this little bit of time where I move certain shit around so that I can show y'all these images. All right, the 2 images about Venti's voice line. Let me just copy that here. Bang, bam, boom. That has been done. All right. Where's that button? Unmount. My USB storage. Holy guacamole. That has been complete. All right. So let me show y'all this. Let's go. Here it is. Full image. Bam. Ah, shit. Oh, can I drag it? Or can I zoom it? Can I zoom it in? Hold up. I probably can zoom it in. Let's see. All right. Okay, maybe I gotta zoom in a little more. Do I gotta zoom in just a little bit more? How much more do I gotta zoom in so I can put this voice line on the screen? Okay. So, this is Venti's 3rd voice line in relation to, obviously, the Power Archon, right? But this is clearly not talking about Mavuika. And we, as y'all heard earlier from the homies, and even from myself, Venti is known for, like, ultra exaggerating shit and, like, giving misleading hints that's meant to throw people off and whatnot, right? So, let's see his actual voice line about the Power Archon Mavuika. Look, you can see right here. This is about Mavuika right here. Habarim. Habarim? I forgot to pronounce this shit. Then you have his 3rd voice line. They're both here. So let's take a look at what the 3rd voice line about Habarim says. Okay, that should be enough, right? Okay, let's read this. This world sure is cruel, forcing generation upon generation of human heroes to become cannon fodder in the fight against the darkness. But under Mavuika's leadership, they've achieved a truly godlike feat. Starting with her, I suppose that the Natlanese have always been like that. All right, I heard Mavuika likes to drink, and are you thinking what I'm thinking? Okay, so we have both voice lines that have completely 2 different vibes to them in relation to talking about the Pyro Archon. Hold up, let me go back. If what Nigerian Perspective said was the truth, that they rewrote Mavuika to be something that they didn't describe her to be in the past, why in the hell did the devs not change this 3rd voice line? Why is this voice line still here? You'd have to answer that question. Because if they changed her from what she used to be, quote unquote, used to be, into something that she is now, that isn't what she was supposed to be, or used to be, again, air quotes, this voice line shouldn't even be here anymore. This voice line should be edited. If anything, this voice line, especially about the Power Archon, should be tweaked entirely. And he should be referring to the Power Archon as her when he says this. But he doesn't refer to the Power Archon as her, not even as a he, but as just the entity themselves, the Pyro Archon. And mind you, again, screenshot shows both voice lines here. They didn't remove this one about the Power Archon, nor did they change it to fit what we see from Mavuika as a person. Right? It doesn't fit. So clearly, there was no such thing as she was supposed to be X thing, because this label about the Power Archon is clearly referring to Shibalanke more so than, guess what, Mavuika. Which is why they have 2 different voice lines. He has 2 voice lines about the Power Archon, and they both are saying 2 different things. Hold up, give me a second. This fucking bullshit. There we go. Scroll. Oh my god, hold up. I gotta zoom in, that's why. Fuck. Anyway, like I was saying, 2 different voice lines talking about the Power Archon. with two different vibes to them. One of them, he literally mentions Mavuika by name. The other one, he doesn't mention the Power Archon by name at all. They should have changed the other voice line, but they didn't, clearly. Maybe because, guess what? He was talking about two different Power Archons. The Power Archon he was talking about in the past was clearly Xbalanque, which makes sense for Xbalanque's character, especially with everything we learned about Xbalanque in the World Quest in Natlan. And this makes sense to talk about Mavuika, seeing as she earned her seat as the Power Archon, as Habarim, which is her demon name. And this, that, and the third. And it talks only about her. And, of course, the generation after generation of human heroes who became cannon fodder, aka the Power Archons, and, of course, the heroes of the tribes. But you get the point I'm making at this point. I don't think there's any more need to, like, press that further. But anyway, let's continue.
A wayward, warmongering wretch. Now, that is an interesting way to describe an Archon. And ironically, I think that is exactly the kind of characterization that would have made both Mavuika and Natlan make far more sense. I mean, imagine an impulsive, brash, almost unnerving Archon who genuinely loves battle. An Archon who actually embodies the ideal she represents, war. I mean, every other Archon...
It's crazy that he's saying this. So he basically wanted a brutish, dumbass Power Archon who just loved fighting for the sake of fighting with no real thought behind it. AKA the stereotypical view of a, guess what, god of war. Genshin didn't go with that route. They went with the other route of a depiction of a god of war. I just went over the whole thing, so I'm not even going to keep touching on that point.
Archon is allowed to meaningfully express the ideals they stand for. So why is the god of war the one who seems furthest removed from hers? Going forward though, I also think an Archon like that would have solved so many issues people had with Natlan as a whole. I mean, this is supposed to be the nation of war. Yes, one tribe is primarily known for surfing, another is known for dancing. And while individually there is nothing wrong with these ideas, when you step back and look at the nation as a whole, it just doesn't fit the identity that Genshin itself spent years building up. There's
years building up the identity of the Natlan being a nation of war. No, I'm gonna push back on that because guess what? The information related to Natlan as a nation came from NPCs who talked about their experience being over in Natlan, and they were saying that, yo, I enjoyed my time there. Actually, let's go ahead and pull this up, shall we? Let's search this up. Genshin NPCs talk about Natlan. Search. Theory video. Venti leaked Natlan story. I'm looking for a video. In the road. Where are the Natlan NPCs? Genshin Theory. When was this? 2 years ago? Oh yeah, this was 2 years ago. Niggas were like, bro, where are the NPCs from Natlan? And guess what? We find out the reason why we didn't see any NPCs who were from Natlan, outside of Natlan, because they couldn't leave the fucking nation. If they did, they would suffer greatly loss of XYZ thing. Now, I'm not gonna act like there aren't some valid critiques to be given of Natlan. I ain't gonna act like that's not the case. But let's be fucking for real. This whole expectation that Natlan was gonna... This idea that Natlan's fucking region was gonna be this war-torn region. Hold up, actually, I talked about this in my video, actually. I'm pretty sure I mentioned it, right? Because we heard about the Marjavari, right? Y'all remember the Marjavari? It was talked about so much because of what we learned about it back in version 1. We heard about the Marjavari and how it was described as a place with like, oh, it's fire everywhere, it's burning, this, that, and the third. There's no air. The air is hot as fuck, right? So people took that description of the Marjavari and applied it across the entirety of Natlan. And on top of that, Natlan being dubbed a nation of war. So, because of that, people painted this idea in their head that Natlan was this war-torn, destroyed nation across the board, whereas everywhere else in the world was doing fine. Which, honestly, would have been a even worse, a bad look for if they gave every last if they made every last character in that land melanated skin tone, or rather just had all of them be melanated or brown skinned, right? And then finding out that their nation is the only nation that's literally behind the times, as opposed to all these other regions in the world that have managed to quote unquote civilize themselves and advance in technology and in their culture, change stuff for the better, while the people of Natlan are behind the times entirely, both culturally and just as a people. That would have looked extremely bad, especially considering the fact how people feel about that shit when it comes down to real life, when it comes down to these ethnic groups of people being portrayed as, oh, behind the times, oh, lesser than, because they are behind the times in comparison to all the, the western side of the world, this and the third. You feel me? People already have an issue with that, regardless if it's true or not. Anyway. Why can't I find no NPC talking about Natlan? Let's go to videos. See? Even this video. This mentioned the Marjavari. This video was a year ago. And his friend died there. Right? So, because of that, right, this also played a role in shaping this perception of what Natlan would look like as a nation, because of what we were told about when it comes down to the Marjavari and its appearance. But that turned out not to be true. Where's the NPC that talked about Natlan? That talked about Natlan when it came down to the hot springs. Where is it? Oh, this was after the 5.3 Archon quest. Ah, damn it. I can't find the one I'm looking for. Usually videos like that are so easy to find, but they're not easy to find anymore. Nope, it's only talking about the current NPCs of today. It's not going to show me NPCs that talk about their time in Natlan before we went to Natlan. I can't find anything about that shit as I'm scrolling, unfortunately. But anyway, I think my point. Because we know that the dude from the hot springs... Oh. Let's do this. Genshin Inazuma NPC talks about Natlan. Let's see if I find this. Surely it's gonna pull up what I'm looking for. Okay, it doesn't seem to be pulling up what I'm looking for. Oh, well, that one region we know nothing about.
There are 7 regions in Teyvat representing the nations and principles of the...
Oh, here you go, right there. Another thing, too, that's played a role in, like, people's perception of Natlan was the tribe that left Natlan to go to...
Is the owner of Aisa Bath House in Inazuma. He greets the traveler and promotes his business, calling the experience one can get there the glamour of Natlan. Upon further questioning, he tells us that he visited Natlan and experienced the volcanic hot springs. That leads me to believe that the land of Natlan may be located in a volcanic area.
Did you know that? But another thing too that we need to mention this. Another thing that shaped the perception of people's perception of Natlan before it came out was the Genshin comic that came out before the game even came out. Right? Let's make that clear too. That comic showed only the tribe that Vanessa was from, right? And of course, I also found out that there was a lot of mistranslations in that, so it painted this perception of like, oh, the children of Murata and this, that, and the third, despite the fact we never came across a character called Murata. We never came across a tribe that's labeled as the children of Murata or anything of that kind. So because of that, it led people to perceive Natlan as a way, as a racial, as a nation with a culture of that's absolutely harsh and wicked and difficult, right? Because when Vanessa came into play, Vanessa, I actually don't know when Vanessa was around. Was Vanessa around 500 years ago, around the same time as the Cataclysm, or was she around before that or after that? I can't fucking remember when she arrives, right? But clearly her people left Natlan, probably due to the fact that, you know, the Abyss was running rampant and they had to survive more so than them being exiled. And if they were exiled, the game has yet to touch on this yet. Or this could, again, just be entire mistranslation of the comic book from Chinese to English. And we could be wrong about every little thing that was said in the comic in relation to this group of people that migrated from Natlan to Mondstadt. But anyway, this played a role in shaping people's perception of what they thought Natlan was going to be based off that, based off what was said in the Tevat teaser trailer, when people thought that it was referring to a man versus man plot line rather than a man versus nature plot line. Anyway, let's get back to this.
So many issues people had with Natlan as a whole. I mean, this is supposed to be the nation of war. Yes, one tribe is primarily known for surfing, another is known for dancing. And while individually there is nothing wrong with these ideas, when you step back and look at the nation as a whole, it just doesn't fit the identity that Genshin itself spent years building up.
He says it didn't fit the identity that Genshin spent years building up. Brother, there wasn't even a concrete identity for Natlan. You heard it be called the Nation of War and just thought, oh, it's just war and destruction everywhere. Despite the fact we have NPCs who've gone to Natlan, as I just showed you with that clip, that have been to Natlan, and they did not describe it as a war-torn place at all, because they could have easily done that, but they didn't. Why? Because that clearly wasn't what they were going for the depiction of Natlan.
There's a disconnect between what Natlan was sold to us as and what it ultimately became. And I think the major reason
sold to us as, brother, again, we didn't have much information to go on about Natlan to be sold on anything.
For that is Mariga. And the exact same thing can be said for the points made about Sumeru, specifically the Nefer story. Now, before anyone...
Ooh. You say something crazy if you want to. I'm gonna say that right now.
The exact same thing can be said for the points made about Sumeru, specifically the Nefer story. Now, before anyone pretends to misunderstand what is being said here, let us use a little common sense. No one is saying that fair-skinned people can't experience racism.
Guess what? Candybbug implied it in her video. Shall we show the clip that you probably won't show conveniently? Don't worry, I got y'all. Cause he's saying no one's saying that, but that's what she implied and said out of her own mouth. Regardless if it was intentional or not, what she said out of her mouth should have never flew out her mouth to begin with. Because again, she's looking at racism and prejudice from the American lens, and thinking that that's the only lens you can look at racism and prejudice. That's how she was viewing it as. So let's make that clear, Nigerian perspective. I've had people in my comment section literally be like, yo, her take on this shit about when it comes down to like prejudice towards someone with fair skin in a storyline like Sumeru's that we were shown is completely off base if you even bothered to even do just even like a little bit of research into it. So I'm gonna keep this clip here. I'm going to go to my reaction to this video, and I'm going to scroll down through my comment section so you can see what I'm talking about. Because I want to show this. Yo, what's up? Shut that shit up. Sort by newest. Where is it? Because someone left a really good comment. Oh, actually, I don't think it was this video. it was her response video. Okay, wait a minute. This is the wrong video. Hold up. This is the response video I reacted to. That came after this one. My apologies. Oh, I think this was it right here that I pinned. This is it right here. And this relates to, again, Nefer's character and her quest, or at least her section of the Archon quest. So let's play what a Nigerian perspective has to say before I provide my counter argument.
Of course they can. But the reality of the world we have always lived in is that racism disproportionately affects people with darker skin. And
just because it disproportionately affects niggas such as ourselves does not mean that they can't tell a story about prejudice when it comes down to Sumeru and how the people of the desert were treated in comparison to the people from the rainforest. What?
And even more so, Sumeru's desert, where Nefer grew up in and the story takes place in, is a place that is supposed to represent the setting of darker-skinned people. So if Genshin...
There were darker-skinned NPCs in that location as well. Did you forget? Excuse you? And another thing, too, that's so interesting that he's saying this. Why is he acting like there aren't fair-skinned niggas that exist in the Middle East or in Africa as a whole? Excuse you? Kind of crazy that we're sitting here doing this. But let's listen a little more, shall we?
Genshin actually wanted to depict that experience in a meaningful way. Wouldn't it have been better to reflect that reality? And yes, I can already imagine the counter argument. Well, at least Genshin chose to tell this story in the first place. But my rebuttal is very simple. Sometimes it is better not to tell a story at all than to tell it poorly. It's better not to tell...
This story wasn't told poorly, that's the thing. So you're wrong there. 2, they could just as much tell that type of story with a character like Nefer, because guess what? She came from the desert. Her story wasn't even really about racism. It was about prejudice because of where she was from. So that's my fault for kind of like misunderstanding, kind of like, interchanging between race, using the word racism and prejudice, and like kind of interchanging between the two, because of how much these two words interlock with each other so much. But yes, she went through prejudice. She didn't experience literal racism because of her skin color. It was because of prejudice because of where she was from. But interestingly enough, an NPC that was testing her for her intelligence when she was being interviewed commented about her skin tone. And I was like, that's very interesting. So allow me to pull that up. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pull that up. I got to close some of these tabs so my shit don't keep running slow. All right, now let's open a new tab. YouTube, because I'm about to get into this. I'm sorry, I disagree with this nigga wholeheartedly with how he's framing this shit. Because it sounds like even he is looking at a story about racism or about prejudice from the American-only lens. That's the only way he's coming to that conclusion, and it's crazy to me. And he labels himself as the Nigerian perspective. Crazy. Anyway, I might as well start calling myself the fucking American perspective from now on then. Good Lord in heaven. Anyway, let's do this. Genshin Impact. Which version was this? Version, what was it? 6.2? Search. Let's see if I was right about version 6.2. This girl. Okay, we were trying to help save Columbina and bring her back. That's what this was. If I remember correctly. Let me keep scrolling. Yeah, so I'm looking for version 6.1, not 6.2. Let me pull this up. Just click on the whole video, actually. Okay, the mark didn't stick to where I had it. Okay. Let's skip up.
Tragedy, as he said himself. I mostly agree. There's only
We have time and I'm not going anywhere. See that pile of stones? I'll be sitting there warming up my vocal cords. Come find me when you're done.
pile of stones. Got it.
Let's skip a little more.
I urgently need you to formally recognize my title of Special Ambassador and send some of your people to assist me for a few days. It's the only way I can.
Also, this was also about a story of how, like, the system not doing what it's supposed to be doing and being very neglectful, which is why we find his letter that he wrote to the academia literally just in a box in the fucking corner of the mail room or in the document room. And said document never reached the person that he was sending said letter to, which would have helped benefit his tribe before they got wiped the fuck out.
It's badly defaced. Some parts are barely legible. What a ridiculous lie the surviving Shimti tell.
Oh, shoot. So, from what I can see from the NPCs that are here, I don't see ones that are of tanned skinned at all. So, it's fair to say that all of them are fair-skinned individuals. Everyone from this tribe was fair-skinned. It's fair to say that, because I can't see no brown-skinned individuals here. So, I was wrong on that point earlier that I mentioned about everyone, or at least there were some brown-skinned individuals that was a part of this tribe. I was incorrect, so I'll let them have that. However, that doesn't really matter, because when it comes down to the Middle East, niggas aren't racist towards each other because of skin tone. It's more so other shit, which I'm going to prove after I play the scene when it comes down to her interview or whatever. Let's play this.
What a ridiculous lie the surviving Shimti tell. Their whole village was butchered over a sip of water.
Ah, officer. Welcome. Welcome to our humble village.
Brown-skinned individual from the desert standing right there across from the academia dude.
I thought you would at least have the courtesy to provide some respectable libations.
This is the finest wine Aru village has to offer. I promise.
The Academia has agreed to reserve a single space for a candidate from your village. But I remain skeptical of this entire endeavor. I highly doubt anyone in this desert possesses serious academic potential.
See? A story about prejudice, not about story about racism. We gotta make that clear. But again, racism and prejudice gets intertwined with each other a lot.
Potential.
Please, have faith. If not in us, then in our God. The child we found shows great promise. I beg you, take her away from this place. Give her a chance. Don't let her talent go to waste.
I don't recognize her. New arrival?
She showed up here a few days ago and we took her in. She's a really bright kid. Please help. I'm begging you.
So, where are you from?
Nowhere special. Just a sand dune.
What about the rest of your family? How many of you are there?
Just the one.
It's only you?
Correct.
So, no brothers, no sisters, no mother or father?
He keeps hammering this in as if she didn't just say already that she don't have any family, bro.
Any who have slept on a bed of sand, I call my brothers and my sisters. Apart from that, I have no family.
AKA, she views herself as someone from the desert. Basically. And any brother or sister who's lived in the desert, who's rested on a bed of sand, are also a part of the community that's from the desert.
All right. Get over here. Sign your name on the form.
For a Chinese gacha game to even tell a story like this is surprising. Because I wouldn't even think they would even have dared to even tell such a story. That's why I applaud this when I saw it. And I'm not one to always applaud stories talking about prejudice and racism, because in the America, in the West in particular, it's hammered in so fucking much to such an obnoxious degree as if people don't already understand the shit. But they keep hammering it in, and guess what? Those type of movies lose fucking money. No one cares about it. No, the only people who care about it are ultra niggas who are so hard pressed in relation to race issues. That's the only niggas who, and of course, race hustlers. Anyway, I want to play this a little more.
Never. You're rather fair-skinned for a desert dweller.
See how he brought it to mentioning her skin tone? You could argue there's some racism hinted in or sprinkled into this story. Right? Anyway, let me go to the comments that further disproves this point that Nigerian Perspective is making. Peep game. Racism or discrimination in the Middle East can have so many reasons. One of them is color, but it's not always the main or big factor. Your religion or religious sect, your nationality, or even your tribe, you can make certain people racist against you. It has nothing to do with skin tone. You could be pale as milk, but from a religious group that is discriminated against, or from a country that its people are looked down upon in the Middle East, racism can be for so many reasons. Color is one of them, but it's not really the main factor or even a huge reason for racism, because in one family you can find so many colors, very pale to very dark. In the same family, Nefer was facing racism because she came from the desert. Her skin tone was nothing to do with it, because even if she was light-skinned, she still faced discrimination simply because of where she is from. And by the way, this is not the only comment I got that someone said this. This wasn't the only one. There were so many other comments that touched on this as well. That's such an American take. There's in the world that doesn't involve skin color. Of course she doesn't know. Boom. Another one. Where is the other one? Because there was another really good one in here. Where's another good one? Because there was so many good ones here. Let's keep scrolling. Oh, here we go. This one right here. I really like this. Reading this one. Let's read this one, shall we? I am Egyptian myself, who has fair skin, so I would give my 2 cents on the Nefer part. Sumeru has its own issues with how it deals with the desert and the rainforest. While the academia didn't like anyone who is related to the desert, didn't really matter the skin color much, the game does recognize the difference between the skin color. Thus, it's logical to say that skin color is tied to this issue. But saying that a character like Nefer can't experience racism because she is pale-skinned is genuinely insane to me. Sure, that Nefer being pale isn't to just show pale-skinned Swanasi people. My bad, I don't know how to pronounce that. Forgive me. But because the game would rather not make a dark-skinned character... What up? Because the game would rather not make a dark-skinned character, but genuinely it is it is racist to say that POC or a character of color, in this case, can't experience racism is racist in itself because Wasani people experience racism no matter how they look because of skin tone. No matter how they look, because skin tone isn't the only feature. There's facial features, accents, etc. And for Nefer's case, it's her clothes. Anyone with no context of who is Nefer can easily tell that she has Egyptian influence in her design. Hell, they can see it from her eye makeup alone. So her getting this treatment is not weird. If the academia knows a student of theirs is from the desert, they will see them as less intelligent. The apology is just absolute. Actually, let me search up what this is. Let me search this up. Let me copy. I'm gonna put this into the search engine because I wanna, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? Get educated. Anyway, search. Give me some images. Okay. Let's see where they're located on the globe. UK? Really? They're in the UK? Let's go to. The second largest city? No, I'm not referring to the second largest city. Hold on, let's go back to here again. What's that gonna say? Swanasa people. Okay, let me redo this then. Swanasa people. Okay. Swanasa is a pan-ethnic and globally acronym that stands for Southeast Asia, North Africa, and I said Southeast Asia. I meant to say Southwest Asia, North Africa, and South Asia. It is inclusive, diaspora, driven term commonly used in cultural organizations and academic communities to describe a vast, interconnected network of cultures across the globe. Shall we read? Southwest Asia, the Middle East, includes nations like Lebanon, Syria, Palestine, Jordan, Iran, Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Saudi Arabia, Iran, and Turkey. North Africa pans from Egypt to Morocco, including countries like Libya, Tunisia. Sorry, I can't pronounce that. Forgive me. And Algeria. South Asia includes countries such as India, Pakistan, Bangladesh. Oh my God, I've been diving into a lot of politics. That's the only reason I can pronounce half this shit. Anyway, Nepal, and Sri. Oh wait, is this Chirac? Is that what it is? No. Sri Lanka. Forgive me, I can't pronounce half of these places. But again, you can already tell there's a diverse sense of skin color across all of these, and it's not just brown skin that Sumeru and even Natlan is based on. Literally, not everyone from Natlan, especially the culture that the multiple cultures that is based on. Not every last person that's from those cultures. Even bro, I have a friend who's Latin American, for crying out loud. When he saw Natlan and the character depictions of it, he had no issue with it because he knows not every last person that's from Latin America is of brown skin. There are niggas there that are fair skinned, and yes, I refer to them as niggas to be all inclusive, by the way. So accept the language. Anyway. So his take on this is just like, it's bad. This is just a bad and terrible take. And it's a take that you can clearly tell is coming from an American point of view. And this is coming from an American, my guy.
and what it ultimately became. And I think the major reason for that is Mariga. And the exact same thing can be said for the points made about Sumeru, specifically the Nefer story. Now, before anyone pretends to misunderstand what is being said here, let us use a little common sense. No one is saying that fair-skinned people can't experience racism, of course.
Oh, my bad, I forgot to get back to that point. But unfortunately for you, my guy, Miss Candybbug did say that. Or she implied it. Let's see, where is it? Wait, why am I going through my own video? I just came here for the comment section. Let me go back to her video, her initial video. At least one of her 2 initial videos to further prove this point of mine. I'll commend her for this. Thank goodness she didn't take these videos down. So let's play both instances, shall we? I want to play both instances.
Before we begin,
let's go ahead and jump to the end because this is where that shit was at. So fucking stupid. Fucking hated that shit. Anyway. Give it a second to load. Forgive me, I've been bouncing all over the place, but your boy got to in order to like further illustrate this fucking point of mine. Because Nigerian perspective take on this is just not it.
She just talks in people's heads using her magic so Hoyo can pretend that they have a character with a disability.
They never painted Nicole as a character as a disability to begin with, so that's why she's wrong on that.
Or like Nefer, experiencing racism at the hands of the academia while having the palest skin you could possibly imagine.
This is what she said initially, which is why she caught flack for it. Because she believes that, guess what, you cannot tell a story about racism if the main character experiencing that is fair-skinned. Okay, that's a very American POV, which is stupid. And using the American POV to justify this take is stupid. So what she does in her, guess what? In her follow-up video. So let's take a look about her Nefer section. Let's play it for a little bit, shall we?
Hi. So this is going to be a sort of a like at the end of the last video.
I'm going to say this as well. I have no hate for this woman as a person. I have no hate for her as a person. I am very skeptical of her as a person, especially when she said that she went to school to be a teacher, knowing what her take about depicting about a story about racism and how it should only be, you know, niggas in that, as if other people haven't experienced racism, especially the culture that Sumeru it has mixed in with its inspiration, which is the Middle East and the countries I listed earlier, by the way. Knowing that to be the case and her saying like, oh, a story of racism can't be told with a fair-skinned character is stupid. Or a story about prejudice and racism cannot be told knowing that the nations or the real-life places that Sumeru was based off of have that shit going on in it right now in the real world. And it's still a thing there. Let's play this part.
Video, I made kind of an offhand comment about how Nefer's plot about receiving discriminatory treatment by the academia kind of falls flat for me, and I realized after seeing a bunch of comments about that too that I should have explained myself more. I wasn't intending to imply that people with pale skin don't experience racism. That's of course something that happens a lot, but Nefer comes from an area in the game where mostly people with tanner skin live, and I know that it's implied that she's not actually from there, but I think the point still stands. In Nefer's story, she gets a chance to study at the academia, but she quickly notices that the assignments that she's been given are easier than her peers. It's obvious from the context clues here that the school sees her as less intelligent because of where she's from. This is based in real life, of course. People of minoritized races, especially...
Okay, she's mentioning the American history. That's what she's mentioning here. She's not mentioning any history in relation to the Middle East and how stuff has gone down related to that when people are looked down on because of whatever, like the comment I read, 2 comments I read earlier to y'all, from their religious sect or from whatever group that or tribe that they're a part of being looked down upon for XYZ thing, right? She's looking at it purely from the American perspective.
Black and brown people have been historically perceived as less intelligent than fair-skinned people. There are countless examples of these groups having their intelligence and humanity undermined through incredibly racist propaganda. It's the fact that they chose Nefer as the character to experience this story out of all the people who live in the desert who have darker skin is what makes it fall flat for me.
What's even crazier is someone else mentioned in my comment section that Kale was also a child from the desert as well. If y'all remember the Genshin manga, literally, Kale is dressed up, covered in bandages, like covered up in like a, in a cloak that's clearly meant to protect her against the raging sandstorms of the desert. So even she was a desert child. She was literally picked up from the desert by Dottore and then later experimented on by Dottore. Again, she's a child of the desert. She's not from the rainforest. And she has fair skin. So this point she's making, it just doesn't work. They could have done this with Kale. They could have done with this from any character whose origin or who was born and raised in the fucking desert. Or even raised in the desert. Still, the point will still land about what the message is that they're conveying in the story in relation to what Nefer went through. It still is conveyed properly.
I don't want the characters I like to experience racism in the game, but if Hoyo is going to try and tackle these themes, I want it to be respectful to the painful history that those themes are inspired by.
Again, American history. You can tell what she's referencing.
Even though I'm explaining myself a little more clearly, maybe I'm still wrong. I just wanted to touch on that to make my thoughts more obvious, which I should have done in the original video. I also want to address my discussion of the fan service in the game.
Okay, we can move on to the next point. So, do y'all see why Nigerian perspective is wrong on this take? Let's continue forward.
Of course they can. But the reality of the world we have always lived in is that racism disproportionately affects people with darker skin. And even more so, Sumeru's desert, where Nefer grew up in and the story takes place in, is a place that is supposed to represent the setting of darker skinned people. So if Genshin actually wanted to depict that experience in a meaningful way, wouldn't it have been better to reflect that reality? And yes, I can already imagine that
they could have used both a brown skinned character and a fair skinned character. It still would have worked. Because guess what? Fucking Sumeru, I don't even know where he got the America part being attached to Sumeru in terms of a nation, the inspiration for Sumeru's creation. I don't even know where he even came out of the woodwork with that America also was tied into Sumeru in terms of like the inspiration for it. Like, I don't understand where he got that from unless he's solely what he's pulling from that is the America inspiration being tied to Sumeru is just a racism thing. If that is the logic for why he applied America onto Sumeru as it being a part of his inspiration and the creation process for the region, he's just off base with that entirely. If that's the logic behind why he did that.
The counter argument. Well, at least Genshin chose to tell this story in the first place. But my rebuttal is very simple. Sometimes it is better not to tell a story at all than to tell it poorly. It's better not to tackle a sensitive subject than to handle it in a way that feels sanitized, watered down, completely disconnected from the reality it is trying to portray. And really, this is a criticism I think applies to Genshin more often than it should, whether it is this storyline or what they did with Ian-san, a character they advertised as the face of Natlan nearly 6 years ago, only for her to end up being one of the most irrelevant playable characters in the entire nation. I mean, what exactly am I supposed to appreciate?
That's fine that you feel this way about Ian-san. Believe me, a lot of people feel this way about Ian-san, me included. But guess what? Ian-san is not the only brown-skinned character in the game. Are we gonna act like Sino doesn't exist? What about Sethos? What about Dia? Are we gonna act like they don't exist? Kachina also has melanated skin, just to be clear. Mulani also has melanated skin. Are we not gonna mention them? What about Aoife? So this idea of like that you're trying to paint here, like, oh my goodness, they don't have the balls or they half-assed telling such a story, considering the fact that Genshin, out of all the other gacha games that's out right now, especially the modern gacha games, is the only one with the most amount of melanated skin tone in it in comparison to Withering Waves, Zenless Zone Zero, Arc Knights, and even Star Rail, especially Star Rail, where there's only like 2 niggas in that whole game.
In one of the most irrelevant playable characters in the entire nation. I mean, what exactly am I supposed to appreciate? Whether we're talking about the nation itself or the characters within it, it is hard not to feel like so much of it was half-assed. Now, moving on to the final point of controversy in Candybbug's video, and that has to do with the female characters in Genshin Impact, specifically how they're dressed and how they're written. And honestly, the community's reaction to this part was probably the most confusing thing I saw throughout this entire discussion. Mostly because this is the conversation the Genshin community itself has been having for a long time. I mean, we saw it all the way back when Laoma was introduced, when people argued that the way she was dressed had absolutely nothing to do with her personality.
Which doesn't matter, because a character can dress a certain type of way that doesn't match their personality. That's very stupid. That's like saying, oh, a character who's very, you know, loving and heartwarming. Let's say this. Rather, let's do this. A mother who dresses like a street punk, because of the fact that she dressed like a street punk, but her personality is very motherly and loving, therefore, her style of dress doesn't match what she's wearing. Therefore, it's a bad character design. Which is, no, that's not how that works. Sorry. You can have a character who's dressed a certain type of way who doesn't matches the stereotypical personality that's associated with said outfit.
Or the way she was portrayed, that it was simply fan service. Or in a more recent example, we saw that same conversation with Sandrone. I mean, people hated the fact that Polonia was removed and replaced with whatever this is. And even more so,
whatever this is, literally, is her new assistant robot that she created. Because Polonia can't be recreated by her. Because guess what? Alan, the artificer, or I'm just going to refer to him as the artificer literally created Polonia. And his style of mechanics, when it came down to creating Polonia, is so out of Sandrone's like scope of mechanics that she cannot rebuild that nigga even if she wanted to. So let's make that clear.
I mean, people hated the fact that Polonia was removed and replaced with whatever this is. And even more so, they hated that her outfit was changed from a more traditional, fully covered design into the classic body-revealing female Genshin outfit.
AKA short skirt, God forbid. And the crazy thing is, what's so bitching about this is, it was so hilarious, is that they're acting like every female character that's come out has had this short skirt thing, and it's like, no. We've had a mixture of the short skirt, the long skirt, pants, and shorts. Or just absolute pantyhose. And what's even more convenient is that how people are deliberately leaving out female characters who do not have the short skirt dress piece to be like, oh, every female character in Genshin Impact is like that. Completely ignoring Zabai. What about Inefa? Are we not going to mention Inefa? I know, does she match this? No. Laoma also doesn't match it because she doesn't have that skirt piece going on. Who else came out who else recently came out in terms of female characters? Columbina, technically. Even though like her main dress piece is short, you can hardly see it because her bigger outer coat piece or whatever the fuck she's wearing covers up most everything, and the only thing you really see is her legs. Ooh, excuse me. Nefer, short skirt piece, but she's wearing a pencil skirt. Yeah, pencil skirt. Going back through Fontaine as a whole for every female character that we had right before Natlan. So even going through Natlan, they didn't really have the same thing going on for the female characters. Malvika wore a full bodysuit. Mulani, she wore a skirt, but she wore shorts underneath her skirt. Kachina wore shorts. Citlali had a long skirt piece while also wearing shorts underneath that. Who else? Shalonu, she wore shorts. Chaska wore tight pants, but it only covered like one leg. Varissa, she had a skirt and a short combo as well. And well, I think that's all the Natlan female characters I'm thinking of right now. Because every other character that's come out during Natlan wasn't a Natlan character. Escoffier was fine. There was nothing really wrong with her character design. If anything, niggas were overblowing it. She was just like the slutty cook or whatever the fuck. And it's like when you look at her design, she got way more details on her, and that covers a lot up. And we also have female characters that show side boob anyway. This was nothing new. But anyway, you get the point.
Outfits. And if you want an even more recent example, look at the Snezhnaya trailer. I mean, the
Snezhnaya trailer has got to be far the most dishonestly framed trailer that he's wanted to show. Look at this right now. She's got pantyhose on. She's not out here bare skinned. She's got something covering her legs so to keep warm. If you want to argue about the warm clothing bullshit, let's go.
An entire discussion across the community about why the female guards had exposed legs while the male guards were wearing full trousers. Or why
Bro, because this is something usually women wear in the code. Have you not heard about women putting on pantyhose? Like, what? That's a thing. And even, let's even look at this. They got the thigh highs up here with the shorts, but still, clearly this is designed to keep them warm, obviously. Male characters wear baggy pants. That's a design choice that's been done to show the difference in, of course, the gender / sex of NPCs, for the most part. Not all of them wear baggy pants when it comes down to females, or rather male characters. Not all of them, but a good majority of them. The same thing goes with this over here. Granted, we've rarely seen male characters with the thigh highs with the, shorts combo. It's actually, I think it's only been like one male character that's been actually dressed like this, and that's fucking Lenny. But nonetheless. And another thing too, we've seen character designs like this from Honkai Star Rail, where guess what? The entire fucking planet is frozen. Where we saw female character designs from there, dressed in a similar fashion to what we see from here. So let me pull up that, shall we? Because I put it up in my last video. HSR Jarilo 6 characters. Look, you see this? Actually, let's go to all. Let's click this. Let's look at some of these characters, shall we? Oh my god, do we really have a lot of characters from... Oh, they including fucking NPCs in this fucking list. That's fucking egregious. Why the fuck are NPCs also added to this damn list for characters from Jarilo 6? Oh my god. Hopefully this shows all of them. I don't think this is going to show them all. But let's look at some of these characters. If we can see their entire character design, hopefully. Okay, I don't think we're going to be able to see the entire character design. Now I'm thinking about it. Okay, won't just let me click the fucking image. It's going to throw me around for the fucking loop. Okay. So, I'm going to have to do this instead. Okay. Paylo, Natasha. Okay. Hopefully I fucking remember these fucking names. HSR. Payla. Search. Just give me images. Hopefully I don't see nothing crazy on here. Anyway, here we go. Look at this. This is Payla from Jarilo 6. An entire planet frozen in ice. Do you see her style of dress? Does she look like she's wearing thick clothing to survive against the wind? Not really. But no one complained about this character design. Let's keep it rolling. Serval. Does she look like she's wearing clothing befitting to, deal against cold weather? Nope. But no one complained about this one either. Let's continue down the line. Sile. Hopefully I don't come across a crazy image of Sile and Bronya kissing each other right now, because I don't need that going on. But as you can see, Sile's character design? Also, from the same frozen ice ball planet. Does she dress in a fashion that's befitting of surviving against the cold? No, not really. But again, no one complained about this. Let's keep it going. Who else is from... Okay, let's go to Bronya next. Let's just do that. Bronya, look at her. Does she look like she's dressed in thick winter clothing to survive the cold weather? I think not. Exposed shoulders. She got pantyhose on, got gloves on, high heel boots or thigh high boots, if you will. Nothing about this character design screams I'm prepared for winter. Let's keep going. Who else? Or was it Kakolia? No. Kakolia. There we go. Kakolia. Does she look like she's dressed for winter? Before she turned into a fucking ice creature of destruction. Does she look like she's dressed for winter? in any way possible. Please don't show me something crazy. I know she's fucking bad as fuck, but like I can't afford to be seeing something crazy on here. But as you can see from the character design alone, there's nothing about her character design that screams I'm prepared for winter. And just to show this male character, we have male characters from here too, as well, right? Let's go to Sampo, because Sampo was one of the first people we met in, guess what? Jarilo 6. Does he look like he's dressed for winter? The answer is no. He's not. This outfit doesn't scream I'm dressed to survive cold weather at all. Let's keep it pushing. Where's that cornball nigga at? Yeah, Gepard. Now someone's gonna be like, well, he's clearly dressed for winter, because look, he got thick stuff on. Despite the fact this thick stuff is literally just the armor plating. But if you actually look at his fucking outfit that he's wearing, there's nothing on this outfit that's like, oh, this is gonna keep me warm. There's nothing really here that screams it's keeping me warm. This is enough to keep you warm, knowing damn well this jacket more than likely is not ultra thick and it's probably thin, and the only thing that's really thick on him is his fucking armor plating. Oh, his hoodie probably the only thing that's keep his head warm, but that's only gonna keep his head warm for such a short while. But nonetheless, people will look at this character and thinking, oh, well, he's covered for winter, when it's like, no, this is not even enough for him to survive against winter in real life. Because they live on a frozen ice ball rather than a frozen nation, so this outfit shouldn't be enough. But let's be real, these niggas don't leave beyond their fucking city. That's the last city on the entire fucking planet anyway, because their city is the only warm spot left on the entire planet. So guess what? In comparison to the rest of the planet, this is the only place that they can dress in this manner that's not ultra thick winter clothing. Now, am I acting like not every last one of them don't dress like this? Yeah, it may come off that way. But we also have characters who do dress in thick winter clothing. Or something that's akin to thick winter clothing. But even Hook, baby girl Hook, we love Hook. Her legs are exposed. She has nothing covering her legs. She got a thick jacket on, boots, gloves, and a hat. There's nothing covering her legs. Her legs are all exposed. That ice about to freeze them legs up. If we use real life logic, but we're talking about a video game here. Let's go to Lynx. Now, this character looks like she's dressed for winter, cause she got puffy. She got the boots. She got this this jacket piece, this thing covering her shoulders, and this little hat. These gloves don't look like winter gloves to me. And she's wearing pantyhose, or at least blue pantyhose, or just blue pants. I'm not really too sure. But her and Pela, they did a two-man mission around here, right? We have a character just like this, but guess what? I'm gonna say this right now. Not every character needs to dress like this to show that they're from this place, because again, it's the last city on Earth, and again, they have this city, the city that they live in, is warm enough for people to dress not in thick clothing, as you saw with the other characters I mentioned prior to Lynx. So let's make that clear. So this complaint about, you know, the fucking characters, or at least some of these characters that we see from Snezhnaya not dressed in this ultra fat thick winter coat is, how can I say this, just bullshit complaints. If anybody here really thought that they were going to design every last male and female character dressed in a winter suit from top to bottom to go against the code, despite the fact clearly their city is warm enough for them to dress casually, not so ultra casual that they're like showing all skin everywhere, which, by the way, there is no playable character that was shown in this trailer showing all skin. Just to let that know. We see gaps of skin being exposed here and there. It is not to some egregious degree that these bitches are out here wearing swimsuits. Because that's how people are talking when it comes down to this conversation related to the Snezhnaya and female characters. They're talking as if these bitches out here wearing nothing but their bikini in frozen weather, when they're not. They're dressed up from top to bottom with slightly small amounts No, with blatant small amounts of exposed skin. So let's make that clear as well.
An even more recent example, look at the Snezhnaya trailer. I mean, there was an entire discussion across the community about why the female gods had exposed legs, while the male gods were wearing full trousers, or why the Sarita herself was wearing a miniskirt instead of the kind of long regal gown people expect from the ruler of Snezhnaya.
She wasn't wearing a skirt. Wait a minute. Why are we pointing out to this one as if we didn't see her in her actual character design? This is a character design from the past. This is not her actual character design right now. This is the old character design when her son was around. To sit here and bitch about this, knowing this is not her actual outfit that she's wearing currently, is fucking retarded. Anybody who sat there and made that argument, you're a retard. I'm sorry.
Herself was wearing a miniskirt instead of the kind of long regal gown people expect from the ruler of Snezhnaya. These are not new criticisms. The community has been making these arguments for years, and not just about the characters I've mentioned. So why does the criticism...
Look, you see this? We don't even know how long this piece is, but acting like this outfit is the same outfit he just showed in here, and then people are bitching about why the fuck she's wearing a short skirt. What's even more damning about this? Hold up.
While the male gods were wearing full trousers, or why the Sarita herself was wearing a...
Niggas were bitching about the Sarita wearing a short skirt in this moment. Did niggas act like this weather that's around her is not here? This spring ass weather? Which this is more than likely Snezhnaya before it started freezing over. Why in the fuck would she even need to wear a long skirt in spring-like weather? Does that make sense? And also, this skirt, more than likely, isn't even that short. Because the way, if you're describing this skirt to be short, you're thinking that this skirt rides all the way up to her fucking waist. When it doesn't. This skirt is clearly long enough to cover her whole backside of her legs. And about up to her knees for the front. Again, it makes no sense to complain about this. Both in the way this skirt is designed, how it's more than likely realistically lengthed, and the weather that's around her. It doesn't make no sense to bitch about this.
In a miniskirt instead of the kind of long regal gown people expect from the ruler of Snezhnaya.
Long regal gown, as if we didn't see her in that same shit when she was about to roll up on the shade of death.
These are not new criticisms. The community has been making these arguments for years, and not just about the characters I've mentioned. So why does the criticism suddenly become unacceptable the moment someone outside the community points it out? And when we move beyond the character designs and start talking about how Genshin writes its female characters, I also...
Oh no, we're not about to sit here and try to claim that Genshin doesn't write good female characters.
I think there's a lot of truth in what Candybbug is saying. I mean, take Columbina, for example.
Oh my god. Again, this nigga was one of these people who thought Columbina was going to be this scary eldritch horror. And he's going to use the same logic that she did, which is, oh, well, this voice line said this from Child, a unreliable narrator that gave us misinformation about Columbina, by the way. Which, I guess I'm going to have to pull up another content creator who also talked about this, who gave a better rebuttal than even I did. But let's play it, right?
A character that went from being this mysterious, almost unsettling figure with seemingly limitless potential to, in many ways, feeling like this airhead cutie damsel waiting for the traveler to save her.
Such dishonest characterization of Columbina to sit here and say that she's a poorly written character. How about you actually go into depth about Columbina's character rather than giving such a vague explanation of her character to then be like, oh, this is why she was bad. Poorly written.
Androne, who initially came across as this detached, calculating inventor, the person that made all the Catherines in Genshin Impact, only to end up feeling like yet another tsundere.
Again, here we go, yet another mischaracterization of Sandrone to be like, well, she went from this cold, calculating person. Yeah, because you only saw one side of her character, retard. I'm sorry to have to call you this, but you are. You're being a retard right now. This is some retarded ass level logic. You are literally bitching that we saw more than just this one side of her character and saw how she actually is as a person. Because two things can be true at the same time. You can have a character who is cold and isolated by themselves until we see how they interact with people that they fuck with and their personality switches up. From the cold calculated to the tsundere type being like, man, if y'all don't get away from me, bro. But actually, I want you to stick around because like I don't have really that many friends. It's like this absolute mischaracterization of these characters. And the only thing that we're using is like, oh, what? Someone who gave us a misleading voice line about X character. Oh, that's how they were supposed to be. Despite the fact that's never what they were supposed to be. It was misinformation given to us to throw us off. Which I'm going to show this now. So let me find it. I'm going to have to go through my fucking channel history to find this video in particular. It was a couple days ago when I saw this video, because I started seeing people react to this video by her. And I was like, oh, damn. What does everybody got to say about? There's so many people that are giving their personal takes on this. Let me keep scrolling until I find it. So I'm going to come across it sooner or later. I just kept coming across so many people that was reacting to this. I'm sorry that this reaction is lengthy as shit, but it just has to be. Especially in regards to this retarded ass take that he's giving. It's so retarded. Here it is, right here. This lady's video. I'm going to go to the Columbina point. When this chick starts talking about Columbina and using the voice lines as proof that Columbina was supposed to be X thing. So we're gonna start from right here.
There she is.
The big Harbinger points the most to a scary character in Columbina.
Scary character in Columbina.
The Fatui Harbingers are ranked by strength.
Which is a fact.
And I have no idea why that girl is number 3.
Because he's never seen her exercise her power.
I'd test my skills with every Harbinger who ranks above me if I had the chance.
Which we know this because he wants to fight Capitano as well as Arlecchino multiple times within the story.
But when it comes to her, something just doesn't feel right.
Because she has an innocent exterior and she doesn't fight people.
Anyway, you should be careful around her.
Mind you, Child's voice lines around Columbina says,
I have no idea why that girl is number 3.
And tells the Traveler,
you should be careful around her.
All this tells me is that he knew the Fatui were ranked by strength and was telling the Traveler to be careful.
Even Child sounded scared to check.
He didn't sound scared of her! He didn't have enough information about her!
Scaramouche also suggests staying away from her and implies.
What should you do if you were to encounter a damsel who is oblivious and innocent at any given time, and unconcerned and unfeeling in any given situation?
It's so crazy that Nigerian perspective literally said that, oh, she was scary and creepy, and the logic he's using is more than likely Child's voice line, and then we have Wanderer's voice line who literally says that what would you do if you were to encounter a damsel who is oblivious and innocent at any given time, and is unconcerning and unfeeling in any given situation, aka how Columbina behaved in Not Cry's fucking Archon quest before her character development. Surprise, surprise. Let's keep listening.
Situation. If it were me, I could at least challenge her to a fight. But if it were you, with your conscience, I would stay away from her.
None of those voice lines pertain to saying Columbina is terrifying and scary. It's literally just them going, hey, you know that woman we work with? Yeah, we don't know a lot about her, but we're all ranked by strength and she's number 3. That's kind of crazy.
Is by saying that Child and Scaramouche are bad at reading people and they didn't know her that well.
Well, they don't. They don't know her that well. They literally don't. They don't know her that well. That is literally what those voice lines say.
So, of course, their assumption would be wrong. They just knew that she was powerful. Dude, you are not getting at the reason why these voice lines are put in the game.
Dude, tell me then.
Yes, they are useful for showing the relationships between characters and what characters think about each other, but they should also be used to provide hints and information about characters that we haven't met yet.
And misleading information about characters from characters who are known to over-exaggerate or to just blatantly lie about things to the Traveler on purpose.
And they do, though. But they do. They do give hints. You're just using it to fill an agenda. They do give hints. For example, Arlecchino's voice line about Columbina says that she's a very special harbinger. If you ask her a question, you'll get an answer that you don't expect.
AKA, again, what we saw from Not Cry's Archon quest when we sat here and tried to get information from Columbina. We had to do things a certain type of way in order to get her to respond to a question, aka the Traveler's question that he gave to her.
It alludes to her moon goddess powers, her connection to the moon, but also the fact that she doesn't really think the same way that we do, that she has a different thought process. You ask her a question, you get an answer that you don't expect. Columbina is unpredictable.
I think people just aren't willing to admit that Genshin has bad and inconsistent writing sometimes.
I think Genshin does have inconsistent writing. I don't think Columbina is one of those examples.
Fourth, her rank. Columbina was long known to be the third Harbinger.
Yes.
It's also been known for a long time that the closer they are to number 1 in the rankings, the more powerful they are.
Yes.
Columbina being number 3, especially right below Dottore, who is notably unhinged and evil, suggests that she is not only similarly powerful, but also similarly devoted to her work as part of a major villain faction.
She's already wrong here by claiming that Columbina was dedicated to the job of being a Harbinger. And mind you, she's assuming this to be the case because she's looking at the Winter Night Lazo trailer and bringing up the thought process that people had at the time and using that as justification for the current time right now related to Columbina's character. Which doesn't work when we find out, literally, that she left the Fatui and we find out her actual story pertaining to her for why it is she left the Fatui and everything in between. So this thought process of her being like, oh, I'm ultra dedicated to the goal of the Harbingers is nothing but BS. We only think that's the case because of, guess what? Child's voice lines about how he's dedicated to being the Harbinger and why he dedicates himself to the Saritsa, this, that, and the third. That's the only reason you would come to this conclusion that every Harbinger is dedicated for the cause or what the Saritsa wants. But clearly, not every last one of them are, aka Columbina. Even Dottore, because even he ended up being a threat that the Saritsa was like, she told the other Harbingers, in particular, she told Child to send a message to Arlecchino and Sandrone that if it has been determined that Dottore has become a threat to Snezhnaya, to the rest of the world, or to the Fatui organization as a whole, squash that nigga dead. We were literally told this in the Not Cry Archon Quest when Dottore was out here moving deviously.
I think people need to understand the difference between the word villain and antagonist. Villain implies inherently evil within their actions. Antagonist is just somebody that isn't supporting the protagonist.
Clearly, there is a wealth of evidence.
Boom.
To support the theories that people had about Columbina.
There really isn't. I haven't seen a single one that I would consider a wealth of evidence.
I'm tired of people pretending that it wasn't there, and I'm tired of people pretending that it wouldn't have worked tonally.
I think it would have worked tonally, personally. I agree with you on that front. I think that it could have been an interesting concept, yes. But to say that there's a wealth of evidence that that's what it was going to be, when all you are basing this off of is, I thought it was a bit weird she sang to her dead friend's corpse, and she's got black and pink hair, and she's also kind of strong. Therefore, she must be this deluded angel. Oh, wait, speaking on the topic of black and pink hair meaning inherently evil, Nangong you!
I cannot stand.
Okay, that's enough of that. You get the point.
Then you have Mavrika, as I already pointed out, whose defining trait seems to be that she is simply perfect, or Sitlali, whose personality gradually gets watered down into little more than a jealous girlfriend.
To sit here and say that they watered down her personality as if this aspect of her personality wasn't something that they were building upon ever since her tribal quest, or rather, ever since she appeared in the Archon quest with the Traveler, her personality is still the same personality. The thing is, you're seeing another side of her personality whenever the Traveler is around. When the Traveler isn't around, she doesn't usually act like this. This is a behavior that we only see her have when the Traveler is around. When it's her grandson, aka Auroron, she doesn't have this type of reactions. So that tells us that Sitlali has not just one side of her character, she has multiple sides to her character.
Girlfriend archetype. I mean, these are criticisms that people have had with Genshin's females writing for a long time. And what makes them stand...
And what's even more egregious to that is that to sit here and be like, oh, she's just girlfriend to the Traveler and ignore her tribal quest, even ignoring her relationship with Auroron, and what she does as a shaman of the Knights of the Nightwind, the things of the Nightwind, whatever. My bad, forgot what they call it. Right? To sit here and ignore all that other stuff just to hyper focus on her one trait or that one side of her character whenever the Traveler's around or whenever she interacts with the Traveler, to only be like, oh, she's just girlfriend bait, is so fucking stupid. And it's so blatantly dishonest and mischaracterizes the entire character by actively ignoring the other sides to that character.
Stand out even more is that you don't see the same pattern nearly as often with the male cast. I mean, the male characters tend to have far more distinct personalities. That's very significant.
Bullshit. We've seen male characters with sharing the exact same personality types as each other. Case in point, Child and Lohan, the two niggas who want to squabble with people the most. You're telling me every male character we gotten out of this game have had distinct personalities? When some of them are sharing personality types? Just as much as the female characters? And even among male and female characters, some of them share personality types between each other. The whole, oh, I'm a dedicated worker, I love my job, I'm dedicated to my profession. We done seen too many male and female characters behave in such a way. From Jean to Ganyu, all the way to Nouvelette to Chevros. And so on. Do I need to make a list of that? Or are we just being obtuse right here?
Significantly from one another, rather than falling into the same handful of archetypes. And even when they do fall into similar archetypes, the game still makes sure to put in that one thing in their character that makes them different and memorable.
Prove it right now.
Like take Lohan and Tartaglia for—
Oh, so we're going to say that there's so we're gonna act like these two don't have the same type of personality or same type of archetype as each other? And the argument of, oh, well, we can find distinction between them as if we can't find distinction between the female characters on top of that just as much, is blatantly being obtuse on purpose. Like, what?
For example, both of them fall into the battle seeker archetype. They both love the thrill of combat. They both possess that mentality of standing before an overwhelming opponent and wanting to overcome them. But despite those similarities, absolutely no one who plays this game would say that these two characters are the same, because there's an—
Oh my god, so we're being obtuse on purpose. So when it comes down to Child and Lohan, we're gonna act like, oh, no one's gonna say that these two characters are the same. No, yes the fuck we do. Because guess what? We know that if these two were to get in a room with each other and like, yo, I can feel like you're strong. You wanna fight me, nigga? And guess what? The other niggas would be like, yeah, I can squabble with you, a Harbinger? Shoot, I would love to. Because I know y'all niggas are based off of your strength. So let me see what you got. This is coming from Lohan. And then they will squabble. Like, what? Let's continue hearing
those similarities. Absolutely no one who plays this game would say that these two characters are the same, because there's an important distinction. Tartaglia's love for battle is goal-oriented. This is a character that seeks out powerful opponents because he wants to prove to himself more than anyone else that he can stand toe-to-toe with the very best. And Lohan, on the other hand, is portrayed as someone who simply revels in battle itself. There's a far more reckless, almost sadistic enjoyment in the act of fighting. There is that easily noticeable difference between—
Okay, so guess what? We can say the same thing about any female character who is dedicated to their job. Case in point, let's use, let's say, Jean and Marvika. Two female characters who are very let me do this instead. Let's use Jean and Ningguang. Both of these ladies are competent leaders of their respective faction, especially Jean when she was the acting grandmaster until Varka came back, right? Both of them are women who are leaders of their groups. They're dedicated to their job, this, that, and the third, right? And we know the distinction between the two. One of them works so much that, of course, it causes her to like stay so locked into it, because she is a woman that, this is Jean, by the way, that I'm saying this. She is a woman who is, what's the word I'm looking for? She's dedicated to her profession. She upholds being a Knight of Favonius as something extremely important and something extremely worthy of respect. Ningguang, she is a woman who got into the position that she is in purely because, she was trying to make that money on her road. Right? I don't even... Shoot. I'm trying to remember much about Ningguang as possible. I actually use a different example. Actually, let me restart this. I'm still going to use the same Jean example, but let me change the character from Ningguang to someone else. Let's use Kujosara. I think Kujosara would be a better example for me because I know more about Kujosara in comparison. Okay, so Jean example is still the same. Kujosara is damn near the same as Jean. right? But her reason for the way that she is has nothing to do with the fact that she had to like stand up and be the next acting leader of the Tenryou Commission, or because she highly respected the position to the nth degree, which she respected the clan to the nth degree because the clan did take her in and raise her. So that's where a lot of her respect comes from. But there's clear differences between why it is that these two ladies take their job so seriously. You can find the distinction between the two. Even if we had to use a different character like Nahida and who should I use for Nahida? Who's another female character that I can use? Nahida and I have to say Mavuika. Both of these ladies take their job serious as being archons for their region. They do. They absolutely do, to the nth degree. They take it serious so far to the nth degree. But we know that both how they go about governing their nation is different from each other. And we know that these two are different for their reasoning for why they're doing what they're doing. Nahida does what she does because, one, she had her position of being the Archon kind of stripped from her by the sages of the academia. So the reason why she did what she to get her position back as the Dendro Archon was because, one, she had self-doubt in herself and didn't believe that she was worthy to be an Archon because of the fact that she wasn't as wise as Ruka Devada. But she had her own unique wisdom to bring to the table that the academia, especially the sages, was just unwilling to listen or even, take into account that maybe there's a new path of wisdom that this new Dendro Archon can provide, right? And she did provide it, which is why Sumeru has changed for the better ever since she got back in her position. Mavuika, on the other hand, her way of leading is different from Nahida. Excuse me. My bad, I've been going on for a long time with this fucking reaction. Mavuika. Damn, they got their things reading. Mavuika's reason for leading her nation has nothing to do with trying to prove herself as being like a worthy Archon, right? Because we already know she's rather intelligent as an Archon, or at least as a leader, right? But she does what she does, not for the sake of like trying to prove to herself that she is like worthy to be an Archon. She does what she does because she wants to see a better future for the entirety of Natlan so that they don't have to keep fighting this war against the Abyss for the rest of all of time until the entirety of Natlan is just wiped off the fucking map. That's why she's fighting. That's why she's doing what she's doing. That's why she leads the way that she leads. To keep people together so that they can come together and defeat the Abyss as the people of Natlan. Like she loves her nation from top to bottom. She loves her people from top to bottom. And in turn, the nation loves her and the people love her from top to bottom just as much. Now, I'm gonna say this right now. I'll admit this right now, that if the examples I gave weren't the best examples, someone in the comment section can provide an even better example than what I provided. I'll admit that right now. So go ahead and mention that in the comment section below.
It's between these two characters.
Shoot, I actually used Ganyu when I compared her to Jean when I mentioned Jean earlier, because Jean and Ganyu's character story quests were being mentioned as like both of them are too similar to each other because both of them are like characters who overwork themselves and don't relax. But the reasons for why they overwork themselves is completely different from each other. Right? Ganyu is an Adeptus / human hybrid. And because of that, that plays a role into why she wanted to quit, and plays a role into why it is that she's such a hard worker, because she's been under contract under Rex Lapis for so long, for like centuries. So this is something that has just become a part of her life, of her being a hard worker, a diligent worker, someone that never stops working, right? Until like recently, where she decides, hey, it's because she was going through her own interpersonal conflict, right? And Jean was more so someone that just like held absolute respect for the position of being the acting Grand Master, because she idolized Vanessa, if I remember correctly, and wanted to be like Vanessa. And that's the reason why she upholded this position of being the fucking acting Grand Monster so seriously in comparison. Both hardworking women, they do it for two different reasons. Same thing goes for these two. But to sit here and say like, oh, we don't have any distinction between the female characters when it comes down to their personalities in comparison to the male characters is fucking stupid.
Characters. I mean, even though they share the same foundation, you can very easily have one as your favorites over the other. And the same applies to so many other characters in Genshin Impact. I mean, take Zhongli, Neuvillette, and Capitano, for instance. All three are protectors. All three are guardians.
It's so crazy that he's going to sit here and say this about the male characters as if we don't have the same shit for the female characters. Why are we acting like they're excluded from this when we've seen this behavior from them as well? Guardians, protectors. Does Mav Wika not count to you as a guardian or a protector? Shoot. We got 3 female characters. Actually, we don't even need to do the guardian protector thing. We got like about 3 female characters that work in the similar profession as each other. Peep game. Arlecchino, Nefer, Yelan. All 3 female characters work in the business of information. Yet we can distinctly tell the difference between all 3 of them and how they conduct themselves with gathering information. Can we not? The answer is yes, we can. Arlecchino is a part of the Fatui, runs the House of the Hearth. Her whole deal is training soldiers, future soldiers for the Fatui. And she teaches them about gathering information and this, that, and the third. Which is why, Linny and Lynette move the way that they do. And if she either has spies go collect information for her, or she'll go out to collect the information herself. Right? Nefer, she is a government agent from Liyue that Ningguang has under her orders that goes forth to to investigate criminal underground organizations and stuff of that nature. Right? Which is why we had a limited time event dedicated to her where she was investigating this undercover organization that was racking in all this fucking money or, shipping illegal materials and whatnot. Shoot, we even saw her again in one of the most recent limited time events that happened. What version update was this? I think it was it was the most recent one that we did, actually. I think it may have been during version 6.5 we had this limited time event, or version 6.4 when we had this limited time event, where the event was this was a business, I guess, event where factions from across Nodcry would be at their vendor spots selling stuff, right? We ended up finding out one of these NPCs was from Sumeru, and that he helped this gang of people from Sumeru help them create machines or whatever so they can get their hands on the water of this reserve. But these people went out to go make money for themselves, and then they end up being these big corporates that was moving shit internationally, right? Yelan was also involved with that, of hunting down international criminals just as much as them. Then you have Nefer. She mostly sends out Nahida, but Yehoda to do odd jobs for her. And she's very sly and cunning about how she goes about ensuring that, one, she protects herself when it comes down to this information gathering, but also her business, the Curatorium of Secrets, and even her employee, Yehoda. Right? But all 3 of these female characters could be chalked up as being labeled the same as information gatherer. But you could, if you understand their characters for why they do what they do, because of what background they came from, Nefer, she really, what's the word I'm looking for? She cares a lot about information and the information being passed around or coming and going and it moving smoothly and properly and things of that nature. Especially what she experienced in the academia when she found out that the system at play was not properly, doing what it was supposed to be doing when it come down to information being properly sent out, aka her father's letter not reaching that man like it was supposed to. So she ended up creating the Curatorium of Secrets. That's whole job is to uphold this whole information gathering stuff and being a hotspot for it, so it can properly move about this, that, and the third across Nodcry. Right? That's completely different for why Arlecchino, is an information gatherer, or why she does it. Because she's a part of the Fatui, and they train their soldiers to be like that, and she was trained to be such. So that's why she does that. Yelan, she does it because it's her job, because she is trying to make sure that, Leeway is kept safe. And so she does these jobs, hunting down international criminals and gangs, when they selling drugs or shipping like illegal machinery across nations. Like even Kinich, you could argue, is a part of that group as well as information gatherers, because he hunts down people who, what's the word I'm looking for? People who smuggle Saurians. He hunts them down, and he's a bit of an information gatherer just as much as them, but he does it for completely different reasons. And so on. So there's like 4 characters who share a similar title to each other, but they all do it differently. They all engage in it completely differently. But again, acting as if this is something we can only find among male characters is fucking stupid. It's a bad take.
Who are willing to go above and beyond for the nations they choose to defend. But once again, the similarities only exist in the surface. Zhongli is a passive protector. He believes in stepping back, allowing the younger generation to take the lead while positioning himself as the final line of defense should everything else fail. Novelet is the complete opposite, an active protector, the one standing at the front, personally involving himself in affairs of Fontaine and carrying the weight of the people on his shoulders. And then there is Capitano, who is simply nuanced. I mean, this is a character willing to sacrifice his own life for the nation he swore to protect. But at the very same time, he is also a hypocrite. I mean, for all the honor, integrity, the righteousness that he is believed to have in doing that, he still willingly serves the Fatui, an organization responsible for bringing suffering to countless other nations. He's a man who
being honorable does not have anything to do with you being... Hold on, how can I say this? You can be somebody who's honorable while also being a part of a group that does things that's not honorable. We just seen this shit too many times. Isn't that whole character archetype is called like what? Neutral evil or chaotic evil? Or chaotic lawful? Neutral lawful? Hold up, let me search up this term. Give me a second. Oh, it's called lawfully evil. Hold up. Lawfully evil, meaning lawfully evil, character or entity pursues selfish, cruel, or malevolent goals while strictly adhering to a personal code, strict hierarchy, or legal system. They use rules, traditions, and contracts as weapons, twisting the letter of the law to achieve their objectives without mercy. Okay, so Capitano doesn't actually fit that. So let's go with what's lawfully neutral. Lawfully neutral describes someone who prioritizes rules, traditions, and strict codes of conduct over personal morality or emotion. They operate within established systems to maintain order, often serving impartial judges, bureaucrats, or disciplined enforcers who treat everyone equally regardless of individual circumstances. I don't know if this one also fits Capitano as well. Maybe. Oh, actually, let's see chaotic lawful. What does chaotic lawful mean? Chaotic lawful. Okay. Chaotic neutral. Let's see. Chaotic neutral. Allow me. Describe a person who values absolute personal freedom above all else and loves social rules, but lacks the inclination to actively help others, good, or cause harm to them, evil. Oh, that's the Torre. This fits the Torre's description. What's chaotic good? Let's do chaotic good. Search. Chaotic good describes a character who combines a good heart with a free spirit. Okay, they operate by their own internal moral compass, prioritizing altruism and individual freedom over rigid rules, traditions, or hierarchy authority. I guess this would apply to the captain, because he was more than willing to sacrifice Natlan's traditions and identity as a culture in order to save the region from the abyss by using the gnosis. And he would use the gnosis to purify the ley lines and purifying the abyss out of the ley lines. So I think this may fit him, honestly. What's chaotic lawful? Chaotic lawful. I'm pretty sure I did chaotic lawful already, right? Oh yeah, I did. What's chaotic neutral then? Oh no, I already did that one. Stone driven by internal, by selfish desires and greed and blah blah blah. By freedom, but our lives are rights of others. Okay, this doesn't fit the captain at all in terms of who he is. Let's do lawful. What's lawful good? Let's read lawful good. Lawful good, a moral and ethical framework where a person strives to do the right thing while strictly adhering to rules, traditions, and personal code of honor. Okay, so we could probably more than likely label the captain as lawful good, but he's just a part of the Fatui as an organization. And again, the Fatui doing horrible things depends entirely on who is the harbinger that those Fatui agents are underneath. Let's go back to the video.
Desperately wants to protect his own homeland from evil, yet seems perfectly willing to tolerate an even greater evil being inflicted on everyone else's, and that is what makes him interesting. Again, all three characters share the same core ideas. They're protectors, but they have enough differences in their philosophies, in their methods, in their moral contradictions, that you can appreciate each of them individually for the story.
Again, he's saying this as if we don't have female characters that fit this description of being written this way, but we have a whole bunch of them. There's no in hell anybody with any 2 cents of a brain cell really thinks that every female character out in Genshin Impact are all written the same from top to bottom. Same personality, same story, same flaws all the way through. There's no way in hell that people think this.
Stories they tell. See, when all is said and done, Candybbug made a video expressing her opinions about a video game.
That's fine that she expressed her opinions about a video game, but just as much as she expressed her opinions about a video game, people have the right to criticize those opinions and call out the misinformation or the lack of information that she provides in her video that can easily be countered by using simple logic.
Opinions that, in my view, are at absolute worst nuanced. Now, the audience is the audience. People on the internet are going to send hateful messages as long as you don't fully agree with them. They're going to throw insults around. They're going to make threats over something as trivial as a video game. But what
obviously, because that's how some people move out here. And guess what? No one out here who reacted to her video was condoning such behavior, by the way.
Genuinely disappointed me was seeing other content creators jump in and contribute to the dog pile. I mean,
dog piling. Oh my god, bro. Here we go. Oh, everyone else was punching down on her, despite the fact, guess what? She's a content creator with a bigger sub count and view count than me over the course of 2 videos. So what was I doing? Punching up? If we're using this logic, talk about some dog piling. No, everyone reacted to this video in good faith and gave their thoughts and opinions about it and expressed why it is that this video was bad. The way he's framing it as if they came here just to bully and harass her with their reaction, which is dishonest if he's framing it like that.
And to me, that is a different kind of low. Now, don't get me wrong.
Different kind of low. Okay, so he's painting it as if these content creators, including myself, came here just to dogpile this new content creator just for the fuck of it. Because how dare she criticize Genshin? That's how she's painting it right now. And it's such a dishonest POV of what actually went down. That video came out way before everyone else even reacted to it by a whole 3 weeks. Rather yet, a whole 2 weeks before niggas actually reacted to that fucking video. I think I was one of the first people to react to the video. But because of the shit she said in her own video, that was absolutely egregious. Guess what? She ended up catching the attention of other content creators because guess what? People who watched those content creators, sent them the video, sent them clips from it and was like, yo, you gotta check this video out. And guess what? They checked the video out and they reacted to it in good faith. And they came to the conclusion that the video was bad. Shoot, some people are like, yo, she had a good point here, but the problem is she went off the deep end and then started talking on some nonsense that just didn't help the point that she was trying to make.
You don't have to agree with someone. You can completely dismantle their arguments if you think they're wrong. But you should still
That's what they did. Why are you painting it like they didn't do that?
Be capable of presenting your opinion without turning another creator into the community's punching bag. And
oh my god, bro. Talking about white knighting to the nth degree. Nobody turned her into a punching bag. Nobody sat there and did that. To sit here and frame literally every content creator who reacted to her video as if we made her out to be a punching bag is so dishonest.
And again, I'm not talking about every single creator. I'm sure there are some out there that did just that.
But no, they all did it. Every content creator that I've seen react to the video, because guess what? They pop up on my timeline over the course of this week and last week. Or even the week before last week, guess what? They all gave a good faith reaction and watched the video from top to bottom and broke down and debunked a lot of the takes she gave that didn't make any lick of sense considering the information that was in the fucking game. To sit here and paint it as if only a few of them reacted to her video in good faith is so dishonest. I gotta call you out on that. I'm sorry. You are just objectively wrong.
But when you become part of the reason someone says they never want to touch Genshin Impact again, when someone becomes so disgusted with the community that they don't even want to engage with the game anymore, all because they make one video that, if you ask me, range from being right—
Again, that had nothing to do with the content creators who reacted to the video. That her disgust of never wanted to touch the game again, quote unquote, because of the fact that people had their opinions to say about her video. It had nothing to do with the content creators who reacted to it. It was purely because of guess what? The crazies in the Genshin community who sent her death threats and all this other stuff. That's the reason why she said that. It had nothing to do with the content creators who reacted to her video in good faith. So dishonest, bro.
Right to incredibly nuanced. I think that says far more about the state of the community than it does about the creator herself. But that is just my opinion. What do you think?
Your opinion is blatantly wrong. I'm sorry to tell you this, bro. You so fucking off base. Every point that you made from the latter end of this video downward, not in the beginning, you had something good when it came out to Linnea. But every point after the fact has been objectively wrong. Sorry to tell you. This is a bad video. Your take? Absolutely incorrect. Good lord. What the did I spend the last 3 hours watching, bro? This is some other levels of stupid. And look what's going on in the comment section. Literally painting it as, oh, the Genshin community is such a bad community. How they sit here and say that Withering Waves is a bad community. This and third. See? Again, this is the crazies in the Genshin community. I'm not saying her, because I reacted to some of her videos. But again, this right here, right? People who are celebrating the harassment of that CC, no one who reacted to Candybbug's video condoned that. They all condemned it, including myself. To sit here and paint it as if every content creator who sat here and reacted to this video dogpiled her is crazy. And it's such a mischaracterization of what fucking happened. What's even more a mischaracterization is when people started fucking what's it called? Oh, holy fucking oh wow, this is interesting. I might read that. But anyway, the only reason people reacted to her video was because guess what? People wanted certain content creators to react to it, or just everyone to react to it, right? Because they sent it their way. That's one. Two, the reason she got hate for her video was because of the take she said it, right? Her getting death threats over it, of course, that's doing the most. No one agrees with that. But to paint it as if these content creators reacted to this video just to dogpile her is such a blatant mischaracterization. It's so blatantly off. Now let me read this comment right here. Let's read this right here. Holy Strawman Final Boss. Most of the criticism wasn't about Candybbug being racist, but using misogynistic terms to describe the female characters and not giving the same grace to understand the female characters as she does the male characters. The awful people sending her death threats doesn't reduce the validity of people criticizing her malicious portrayal of certain characters, calling Arlecchino a child groomer, for example. There is nothing wrong with criticizing lore characters and gameplay, but as you said, if you're going to tackle a nuanced conversation, you should have nuanced takes and not write an entire character off with a single word descriptions. Valid. You get my like. Good gracious, this video was something else. Anyway, I think I said everything I need to say. I don't think there's anything more for me to add. If y'all feel the need to add something more to this, let it be known in the comment section below. Make sure you like, sub, turn on the notification bell, join my YouTube community Discord. Link is on my channel. Check out my yapping topics and yapping reaction content as well. Playlists are on the channel. I stream 5 gacha games, including Genshin Impact, here on YouTube, along with 5 non-gacha games as well. Those being Gravity Rush 2, Ninja Gaiden 4, Stellar Blade, Face of My Remnant, and Tales of Berseria. So if you want to see me play these games here on YouTube and YouTube only, subscribe to the channel. Anyway, this is KallaTheYapper signing out. I'll see you on the next yapping topics, yapping reaction, and live stream here on YouTube and YouTube only. Peace. Later. Bye. Good God, man.